All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Friday, August 27th, 2021. I want to talk about the way part of America will see what's taking place at this moment in history. And, I just want everybody to see the way we're all getting played for fools and how we're being made to take sides. Because, Fox News and the type that believe in that news station and that the conservative Republicans are, the political truth or more in line with their ideals. I just want everyone to understand how corrupt both sides are and how we truly are all getting played for fools with a divide and conquer gang that, whether they're on the Republican side or the Democratic side, they do not care about us. So, this blunder in Afghanistan, as it's being presented in conservative media as if this is some kind of accident and not a ritual, it's being presented as, this is the typical Democrats, this is the typical liberals, weak on foreign policy, weak on defense, weak on the fight on terror. And this is a perception that's been with the Democrats for a long time, and Jimmy Carter was an example of this because he was weak with his foreign policy and his policies against terrorism, and he had the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis, that ended on the first day of the Republicans' time in office, January 20th, 1981. That was Ronald Reagan, who was the Hollywood actor who became the 33rd governor of California. But Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter, I've been talking about the rituals with these two men for a while. And we predicted what day we thought Georgia would be called for the Democrats in advance, and that happened because we said that'll be Jimmy Carter's 44th day of his age, and we knew how important that number was to the ritual. Joe Biden was the VP to number 44 Obama. Georgia's one of two states that has Gematria 44, and Joe Biden also equals 44. And that's exactly what happened. Georgia was called for Joe Biden on Jimmy Carter's 44th day of his age. And at the time, there'd only been 44 U.S. presidents in history. Donald Trump was number 45, but he was only the 44th person to be president. He was the 44th person. And when Jimmy Carter turned 96 in October, just before Biden took office and just before the election, every news story mentioned that Jimmy Carter was the oldest living president of any of the 44 men to ever have that office, which included Donald Trump, who was the 44th, who replaced Obama, number 44, who started the birther argument, which equals 44. Again, there's rituals to these numbers. That's how we make the accurate predictions that we do. And with that said, let's see how the Kabul ritual yesterday, the airport explosion, that it's funny. Today headlines say CIA retracts or Pentagon retracts 2 explosions, now just 1. If you watched the news yesterday, they reported that there were 3 explosions. They reported that there were twin blasts in the initial attack, and then they said hours later there was a 3rd explosion, kind of like 9/11 with the Twin Towers, and then hours later in the day the 3rd building fell. Again, a national emergency on 911, a national news media, a federal government that operates by a numerical code every day. Before I go any further, I want to address the quotes on the screen from Manly P. Hall. Again, when I was a young person, in the time Obama was president, here's a real story. In the time Obama was president, the man who ran on hope, which equals 44, and was elected as the first black president 44 years after the Civil Rights Act. Of course, the most famous civil rights leader was killed on 4/4, April 4th. He was from Georgia, Martin Luther King Jr. But when I was a young person living in downtown Seattle, there was a bookstore. It was called Abraxas Books in the lower Queen Anne neighborhood. And I became friends with the bookstore owner because I like to read a lot, and it was a used bookstore, and I love used books, In my early 20s, I was living on, in my early 20s, well, when I got out of college, I had a good salary, but then I quit that job, and I began working in a group home for $10 an hour to save my soul. That's the way I saw it then. And I didn't have a lot of money then. And, I enjoyed my inexpensive hobby that I enjoyed was getting books at used bookstores. You get a great book for a couple dollars. And, not a lot of people go to bookstores. So anyway, the bookstore owner, he noticed I'd come in there a lot and I didn't look like his typical clientele. And we struck up a conversation one day and he couldn't believe that I wasn't taken by the whole, Obama mania. And, anyway, just one thing led to another. Somewhere along the way, he told me that he gave me books and authors to look into, and he loaned me books, and he told me to look into Manly P. Hall. And at the time, I looked into what Manly P. Hall was about, and it was a little bit too deep and esoteric for me. I wasn't really into that whole type of thing yet. But the first time I ever really got that guy's name in my mind was from this bookstore owner. He told me I should read some of his stuff, just, enlighten yourself, more stuff that's out there. And, it was years later after that I came across Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages and what he shared in there about this practice of coding numbers into words. Like Georgia equals 44. And like Joe Biden equals 44. Perfect for the VP to number 44. Remember, Mike Pence equaled 45. He was the VP to number 45. None of this stuff is new. As I'm going to show in a second, Obama took the White House at age 47. Joe Biden was the 47th vice president. He became president after being in D.C. as a senator for 47 years. And yesterday, the Kabul airport was exactly 47 weeks after Jimmy Carter's birthday. And again, there's meaning to all these numbers. There's a reason Trump was saying, I've done more in 47 months than you've done in 47 years, before he was even in office for 47 months. We documented that when he was on the campaign trail. We're like, look, he's already saying that, and he hasn't even been in office quite 47 months yet. But we've been talking about Trump in 47 and the presidency in 47. Again, you learn this simple code that Manly P. Hall taught about in The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and you realize, because again, he doesn't do the work for you. He introduces it to you and says, like, my book is about, here's knowledge and information that's important to the people who rule this world. You look into it and you tell me what you find. Kind of the way that's how Manly P. Hall was with his information. He's letting you know secret societies control this place. The stuff they know about, you don't know about, but here, you can learn about it. I'm going to shed some light on these topics in my books. And anyway, one of his quotes that Rambo likes to bring up: symbolism is the language of the mysteries. By symbols, men have ever sought to communicate to each other those thoughts which transcend the limitations of language. Rambo likes this one. When the human race learns to read the language of symbolism, a great veil will fall from the eyes of men. They shall then know the truth. And more than that, they shall realize that from the beginning, truth has been in the world unrecognized, save by a small but gradually increasing number. I almost just want to stop reading the quote there, because then it goes on, appointed by the lords of dawn as ministers to the needs of human creatures struggling to regain their consciousness of divinity. And maybe the rest of that is the absolute truth, Who are the lords of the dawn? Well, if I'm just going to interpret that as like God revealing light to the people he thinks are ready to have it, to make the change here that needs to happen, it could be something like that. It could be something like that. Again, I was 30 years old, and I'd been looking for the answer to the meaning of numbers from the time of being 18 after 9/11. And, had I followed up on that bookstore owner's recommendation years earlier, and again, it's just, I was like, well, this isn't really like in my area of interest, all this occult stuff. And I guess, I was, the part of me, it was there. I don't know. In hindsight, I don't know. I don't know why I ignored it then. Maybe it just wasn't time yet. It seems like I should have looked more into that, knowing there was something to numbers. I guess I just didn't realize how important numbers were to the occult. I thought occult was like, it wasn't what I thought it was then, But yeah, all this stuff, it's right here around us. It's done to us every day. And with that said, let's get into the rest of this. And we'll talk about the mysteries here right off the bat. So, what did I do? Okay, there it is. I I think we got the right slide up. Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay. So this Kabul airport explosion, it's blamed on Islamic State Khorasan or ISIS-K, okay? And I just want you to see in Gematria how it's 218 and 322. And again, we're going to be talking about more about Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter, who are, having these parallels as Democrats who seem to be incompetent when it comes to foreign policy, right? This is the way the conservative right can carry it, so they can remind you why you need to vote for them when they get back in office. And then the propaganda will be a little bit different on TV, but at the end of the day, almost everything will be the same in America. Being lied to every day, being overtaxed, being over-policed, over-surveillanced. The same things go on under both parties, like a straight line. And anyhow, Islamic State Khorasan just happens to have the exact same gematria as Iranian hostage crisis. Now, these numbers are very specific to the people who run the show, who control the puppets that are Joe Biden and Jimmy Carter, and that is the Catholic Church and their Jesuit order. 218 is the number of the Holy Roman Empire, which supposedly folded in history August 6th, 1806, the 218th day of the year. And, of course, Trump is a good Jesuit puppet, just like Biden. And remember, Trump, when he sent out his presidential alert, the first of his kind, which he gloated about like everything, he sent it out at 2:18 local time. And if Zenith of the Alpha's out there, check out Zenith of the Alpha. He's been talking about 2:18 and the significance of this number in Trump for years, like for 5 straight years. Big number. And with regards to 322, well, that's the number of Skull and Bones, who gets their symbolism from the Knights Templar, who are the old military order of the Catholic Church, and that's why the Jesuits, the current military order, have the Templar cross in their logo. And in 2004, you had Bush and Kerry running for president against each other. Both were asked by Tim Russert to meet the press on NBC about being members of Skull and Bones at Yale, the society that identifies by 322. And he asked both of them, he said, "What's that 322 about, huh?" And they all kind of had a laugh about it. And keep in mind, Tim Russert's Jesuit educated, so of course a laugh amongst the insiders who are broadcasting to the peasant populace who doesn't know shit about shit but thinks they're so smart because they went to slave school for 13 years. But anyway, with regards to him talking about the mysteries, you guys, Genesis 3:22 in the Bible is about the tree of life, knowing good and evil. And when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, if you write out Abrahamic religions, it equals 322. Genesis 3:22 is the beginning of the Torah, which is the basis of the Abrahamic religions. And again, Genesis 3:22. There's 3 paths in the tree of life, which is mentioned in Genesis 3:22, where there's 3 pillars and then there's 22 paths, okay? And the tree of life is the physical model for Kabbalah, and it is part of what is known as the ancient mystery religions. When he says, this is the secrets of the mysteries, these are the things he's talking about. This is why his book is the secret teachings of all ages, Manly P. Hall. He doesn't reveal to run the alphabetic order in reverse. He says the alphabetic order forwards with rules of numerology. But, it's obvious. When you run it in reverse, it's the other half of the code. It's just crystal clear. We'll talk more about that as we go on. But again, Genesis 3:22 alludes to the ancient mystery religions by that mention of the tree of life, which again, 3 pillars, 22 paths, 322, right? Kabbalah is the centerpiece of the ancient mystery religions, which includes Kabbalah, Hermeticism, Kundalini, very important to Masonry. It's where all the 33 stuff comes from. Alchemy, there's more in there, but those are like the big ones. Kabbalah, Hermeticism, Alchemy, Kundalini. Those are probably the most common of the mystery religions. And those are all you study those things and learn about those things, you'll start to make a lot of sense of the symbolism of these secret societies and why they choose the numbers they do. It's all right there. And it's all on the surface. That's why, people that are like, I think sometimes when people are decoding, they're like trying too hard to make connections. Like the connections are right there. More often than not, you don't have to spell out the number again yourself, and then, use this cipher to connect this. When people start doing that, I just think like, okay, I think maybe you're doing too much to try to make your point. Like maybe it's not there. Because if it's there, it's not, it's not crazy decoding. It's just right there, running the alphabetic order in reverse. And again, for people who don't understand how encoded this stuff is, this is in the Bible. Genesis 3:22, we're going to look at the King James Version and the NIV to make a point before we go any further. So this is the New International Version. NIV adds up to 45 just using the alphabetic order. N's 14, I's 9, V's 22. Holy Bible equals 45 forwards and backwards when you use numerology. The King James Bible came out in 1611, the year he turned 45. Hermetic's 45 forwards and backwards. A lot of the biblical teachings are in because again, the ancient mystery religions are older than the Bible, you guys. And the Bible is full of the ancient mystery religions. It's just, people who are like Christian. Again, Jesus was never a Christian. An entirely encoded word, Christian, Jesus, again, all in this language that's all biblical. But a lot of Christians will be like, oh, I don't want to learn about this. This is witchcraft. It's like, witchcraft? We're not doing spells. We're understanding knowledge and what's in the book that we supposedly believe in so much. The word with lie right in the middle. But Genesis 3:22, if you take the verse, and the Lord God said, the man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Again, in Kabbalah, there's two trees. There's the tree of life, and then there's something called the clip-off. The clip-off is the tree of life, but it's inverted, and it's considered evil. The word tree has the same gematria as evil. Isn't that interesting? But when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules of numerology, if you take that part of the verse up through knowing good and evil, it equals 322, right? Now let's do the King James Version. Let's do the King James Version, which is slightly different wording. But here, we're going to look up the King James Version. We're on the New International Version. This website, you can just, let's see, KJV, where's it at? There it is. King James Version. Okay. So we're going to look up the King James Version, and I'll read it out loud. It's a little bit different. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil. So a little bit different wording, just slightly different. But despite being slightly different, the words chosen still have the exact same numerical value when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules of numerology. Again, in the exact same cipher, just running the alphabetic order in reverse with numerology. And the Lord God said, behold, the man is become as one of us to know good and evil, 322. So you see, slightly different wording. And here, just to put them side by side so you can make sure we're not doing any magic tricks here. Everybody doesn't know who to trust. Even though I'm as transparent as can be, everyone thinks I'm a shill. Not everyone, but a lot of morons do. But anyway, again, look at it. That's copy and paste from the King James and the New International Version. Slightly different wording, same 322 value, and we're talking about Genesis 322. A number that's so important, that's used so ritualistically in so many different ways. And remember, in the base ciphers, Skull and Bones is 149, the society that identifies by 322, and Will Smith's Enemy of the State movie, which came out right before 9/11, and it's about politicians and CIA and this corrupt move to build a greater surveillance state. They killed the one senator who's standing in the way of it. There's a scene in the movie at 1 hour and 49 minutes if you watch it. At 1 hour and 49 minutes in, Will Smith looks at his watch and the time is 3:22, right? Last year, or earlier this year, I should say, March 22nd, 3/22, you had the Skull and Bones, supposed store shooting in Colorado, a state that's no stranger to death, the 38th state in order of statehood. Colorado equals 38, like death, murder, killing, RIP. Just so many fatal shootings in that state for national propaganda. You had Bill Gates. Remember this Jesuit club? His daddy died on 14/9 last year, 322 days after his birthday. That was on the 258th day of the year. And, of course, William Henry Gates got the 258 in it. And all these other numbers are so important. We'll cover all these other numbers before the end of the stream with Bill Gates. He's got the numbers, that Jesuit scumbag pawn. That's who all these people are. But understand, 218, 322, these are numbers of the Holy Roman Empire. 322 is the number of Skull and Bones. which gets its symbolism from the Knights Templar, who served the same Catholic Church that continues on the tradition of the Holy Roman Empire, that supposedly fell on August 6th, 1806, but is alive and well today, everywhere from the Vatican to the banking district of London to Washington, D.C., where Roman symbolism is everywhere. You know, where a lot of Skull and Bones members end up in office. George W. Bush and John Kerry were both Skull and Bones. George W.'s father, George H.W. Bush, was Skull and Bones, who was president, vice president. And by the way, he became vice president on the day the Iranian hostage crisis ended. He went from the CIA to the vice presidency with Reagan. You know, so Skull and Bones is very much involved in the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis that ended on 20/1, 201. Got it there in William Henry Gates. It's a big number with the Jesuits. It's the day the Iranian hostage crisis ended on 20/1. Again, Knights Templar. You guys, just to understand throughout history how these numbers come together. When I write out Order of Illuminati, that was founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. The Jesuit order equals 201. Order of Illuminati 201. He died on November 18th, 1830, the 322nd day of the year, 322, 201 days after the anniversary of the establishment of the Order of Illuminati, May 1st, 1776. The same year Kabul was established in Afghanistan, 1776. And, well, don't quote me on Kabul, but Afghanistan... No, it was Kabul. Kabul was founded in 1776. We just covered that the other day. So much information to keep straight. Don't overlook that Order of Illuminati is 258 and 201 like William Henry Gates either. But number of the beast is 258. That's what this gang's all about. And again, it's all biblical, you guys. It's all biblical. But okay. Iranian hostage crisis, Jimmy Carter. Joe Biden, Islamic State Khorasan, airport, you know. We're going to understand more and more how this all comes together. So, the Jesuits, they have the IHS with the Templar cross in it. Oftentimes there's the sun with the 32 sun rays around it. If you're not familiar with the Templar cross, it's like this. This is where the Red Cross gets its symbolism from. Again, the agency that comes in during every tragedy and steals from the public. They'll even report in their own numbers that hardly any of their money makes it to the supposed cause. Over 80% goes to their bureaucracy. Just realize that if you donate $20 to the Red Cross, per their own stats, not even $4 of it will make it to the cause. They're going to eat up almost the whole 20, the Red Cross. And realize they're the thing that's promoted every time there's a tragedy. Donate to the Red Cross right now. And then it's like, God, this is just sick, man. They do this because they know that nobody really researches anything. They'll even report on it in their own mainstream. And then the same mainstream that's letting you know the Red Cross is thieving from you, they'll still promote the Red Cross every time there's a tragedy. And it just shows you, it's like, it goes back to the Manly P. Hall quote, really. I mean, kind of everything about the truth is just right in front of our face. They're just expecting us not to see it. And again, when you realize these people are instigating these tragedies too, and thieving on us not just from our donations, but then saying that we need to pay more in taxes that goes to their governments that they control, you really see how sick the show is. If you missed the stream I did earlier today on JFK, RFK, and Joe Biden who has the same birthday as RFK, and Sirhan today getting paroled, or they're saying that's what's expected to happen. Watch that video. I talked a lot about 72. Remember, Joe Biden became senator-elect in 72. Right after that, his wife and daughter died in a car crash in a big 201 ritual. And then his son, Beau Biden, died at age 46, 201 days before the Pope's birthday, while Joe Biden was still 72. And in Gematria, President Biden equals 72, Jimmy Carter equals 72, Jesuit Order 72. The Jesuits created on the 72 date numerology. So 72, such an important number for Beau Biden and the rituals in his life. And remember, if you guys have not seen my work on the death of his wife and daughter and son and how it's all synced up with the Pope and Superior General, you need to go back and revisit that work. And pretty soon it'll all be in a short book form that I am close to finishing. And it's just, I always hate when I'm writing books, man, because there's big whoppers every day when you know this knowledge, and it's hard. It's like, man, I want to put that in there too, and man, if I wait one more day, then this, It's tough writing a book, and because of that, like most people when they write a book, you guys, they like put everything away and they just focus on the book and all the research they've done up to that point. For me, it's like I'm doing that, but then I'm also keeping up with everything going on, and it's like, man, I want to put this in there. That happened with me with my last book. This book right here was going to be a lot skinnier. Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus. I was pretty much done writing it, and then the George Floyd thing happened, and I was like, holy shit, man. This is crazy how they got this all fitting together. And I mean, if you read the book, you know how it all goes together. But I can't breathe, coronavirus, Black Lives Matter. I mean, and again, it's all Jesuit, you guys, through and through. The whole George Floyd is a massive 201 ritual. But, again, Skull and Bones, 322, Jesuits, Templars. I just want you to understand how it all comes together. If you don't know how Skull and Bones connects to the Knights Templar, this is how. Skull and Bones gets their symbolism from how the Knights Templar buried their dead in ossuaries. You can look into it. That's the history of the Skull and Bones. An ossuary is where you would bury a soldier in a shallow grave. You would let his body decompose. Then you'd come back and take the bones. And there's a fancy box, like a fancy casket. But you just take the bones and you place the bones in there in a certain order. And it finishes by taking the biggest bones in the body, the thigh bones, crossing them, and then putting the skull right on top. Then you close the decorated box, which is an ossuary. And here, just to show you something else about ossuary and how really this all comes together. Ossuary has this 118 in it, right? And if you write out George Herbert Walker Bush, it equals 118, right? And he was number 41, the president. 41 is 118. And Skull and Bones in the most pure cipher is 41. Now remember, the ritual in Afghanistan, the Kabul airport explosion, was 41 weeks after the Superior General's birthday yesterday. And it was blamed on ISIS-K, which equals 41. 41's the 13th prime. They said 13 soldiers dead and 13 stripes on the flags that'll be wrapped around their supposed caskets. If 13 soldiers really died, I want to know where they were, who put them there, and because it's obvious that they were ritual sacrifices. And keep in mind that it happened 86 days before Joe Biden's birthday. Blood sacrifice 86, human sacrifice 86. If 13 young people really died yesterday, they were sacrificed by our government. Understand that. Could also be that it's all bullshit, which wouldn't surprise me at all, because it's really easy to bullshit a society that's used to being bullshitted every day, and where the authorities who make these big claims are never really expected to show any true evidence for their assertions that lead to big agendas that we march along to. This is what's wrong with the idiot masses, that just march along to the lies every day. They don't have any proof to support anything they believe. Where's your proof for any of the lies of 9/11? Where's your proof for the supposed pandemic that's allowed fascism to rule? And no one even cares. I ask people point blank on the streets of Yakima and Seattle, do you think it's okay for the government to tell people if they should have to shut down their business, or if a big Walmart should be able to stay open, and they say, I think that's okay, they're keeping us safe? It's just like, look at these fucking saps, man. These people don't know shit about anything, man. From cradle to the grave, they've been raised by these Jesuits with the bullshit religion, the bullshit education, the bullshit news media, the bullshit government. But look at this. The Iranian hostage crisis, you guys, it began on November 4th, right? November 4th. Rome is 57, right? November 4th leaves 57 days left in the year. We're going to be talking about the major overlap with the Masons, the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry in D.C., and the Jesuits, who again at the 32nd degree share the motto Ad Merum Dei Gloriam. Like there's 32 sun rays on the Jesuit logo, like Scottish equals 32, like America 32. But Georgetown, again, when I first got here, I only knew these two ciphers. And the most pure cipher, Georgetown, is 57, the alphabetic order and rules numerology. And with the most simple cipher, George alone is 57. And Georgetown, the nation's first Jesuit university, was established in D.C. January 23rd, 1789, days before George Washington's 57th birthday. You see? It was established by John Carroll. Notice his name equals 54, right? Jesuit order equals 54. It was established days after John Carroll turned 54. And, Jimmy Carter, 54, right? If you use the most simple cipher, sun is 54. The Jesuit logo is the sun. All of these rituals are synced up with the calendar, which is named after the Pope, which comes from the Catholic Church, like the English language, and it's all based on the sun, right? And the Catholics worship on Sunday. So there's a reason for the numbers, but understand that everything they do is a ritual in time, which I'm going to make a big point about now, bringing together the Jesuits and the Masons, and why this is going on while Jimmy Carter's 96, and why there was a 444-day Iranian hostage crisis. But again, all roads lead to Rome. D.C. is the land of Roman symbolism with Roman fasces on the House of the Representatives in D.C., which is just amazing when you think about it, because fasces is the base root of fascism, which is the merger of government and corporation. Don't forget, Jesuit order equals 144, corporation 144, the United States of America 144, President Biden 144. Everything I just talked about with 144 in this morning's video, with JFK being killed 144 days after his meeting with the Pope on 7/2, Jesuit order 72 144, and RFK dead at 144 in the morning. And the election of Biden beating Trump being simulated 144 days before the election, again at Jesuit Georgetown. But okay, the Iranian hostage crisis began on the day leaving 57 days left in the year. On November 4th, 114. If you watched yesterday's videos, you know how yesterday's explosion came 114 days from the Pope's birthday. Anyhow, it ended on January 20th, 20/1, right? The Jesuit Order 201. The founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, 201. Pope Francis, the first Jesuit Pope, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, 201. Pope Francis, the first Pope to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican, known as the Domus Sanctae Martyr 201. Jonathan Pryce equals 201, the actor that played him in the movie The Two Popes. If you haven't seen The Two Popes, again, it's about Pope Francis and Pope Benedict stepping down for him. By the way, Pope Benedict stepped down on the 59th day of the year. Pope Francis equals 59 in the most pure cipher. Joe Biden won the 59th election exactly 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, becoming number 46. Catholic equals 46, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. Beau Biden dead at 46, 201 days before the Pope's birthday. But see, Jonathan Pryce plays Pope Francis, right? Jonathan Pryce. Price with a Y? Look at it, you guys. Jonathan Pryce, what's his name equal? 201, in the exact same cipher as the Jesuit order, right? I mean, the stuff's not an accident, you guys. It's so perfectly thought out. And again, Georgia was called for Biden. I misspoke earlier. I said the first time Georgia was called for a Democrat was for Biden since Jimmy Carter. There was actually one other Democrat it was called for in between, and that was Bill Clinton. Georgia also went to Bill Clinton, who was from the South, Arkansas, Jesuit town. Arkansas equals 84 and 21 in the same ciphers as Jesuit, and he became number 42. Jesuit equals 42 when you run it in reverse. But notice, again, Georgia was called for Jimmy Carter. Georgia was called for Joe Biden on November 13th, 2020. And it was a date with 28 numerology, and they said the first time in 28 years. Go figure, right? But from Jimmy Carter's 96th birthday on October 1st to that day was 44 days, right? And Georgia's 44. And Joe Biden, didn't even write it there, but Joe Biden's 44, who was VP to Obama, number 44. And remember, Obama ran on hope, which equals 44 and 64, and he was elected in 2008, 44 years after the Civil Rights Act of 64, and again, civil rights is 64, and Barack Hussein Obama is 64. So, again, perfect name for the perfect actor for the perfect position. And that's what I contend all these men are, actors. And they make it more clear with some. Ronald Reagan, they got an actual actor. Donald Trump, they got an actual actor. How many politicians have gone into acting? How many athletic actors have gone into politics? You got it going on right now with Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker just moved to Georgia and is going to run for politics, and all the news media needs to let you know right away that he just moved back to the state, which must mean automatically that he's obviously going to run for office. Again, and he's already a part of this Jesuit cabal. He's been a big star in their sports league. Hollywood, controlled by the Jesuits. How many actors in politics? From Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, who just told you, screw your freedom. Think about that. That was an American politician, Austrian-born Arnold Schwarzenegger, who tells you, screw your freedom. If you read my book, Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus, you get the joke with why they did that with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Talk about how, his movie Terminator is part of the predictive programming for the agenda we're living out. By the way, for those of you guys who have the Amazon streaming service, there's a new high-budget movie on there. I don't even know if Amazon made it or not, but it's called Monsters of Men, and it is very well done, and it's a very disturbing movie. I talk about this in my book too, how in 2020 they debuted the new robotic AI soldiers. This is the second movie they've put out this year about these that I'm aware of. There's probably more. But this one is... everyone should watch this movie, not to support the Amazon streaming service, but if you have it, you should watch Monsters and Men that they just added. It's about the CIA and, a big tech guy and, military force and 3 computer geeks who are computer geniuses with low morale, how they have designed these AI robotic killing soldiers, and... the mothers crying over their children's bodies in gory scenes. I mean, you've never seen a movie where so many little kids get blown away in a graphic, bloody incident, and moms running to their corpses and then getting blown away by the robots. But this is how they've made this movie, Monsters of Men. And again, some people might think, well, maybe this is the director trying to get out a message, a warning about what could happen right now. This is them mocking our asses, you guys. These robots are already here, and this shit's probably already going on. But, and again, what happens in the movie is, the programmers get a little bit antsy about this and don't want to do it. And, well, one of them ends up getting offed by the mercenary that's there who's being commanded by the CIA to make sure everything about this mission goes through. Nobody's getting off board. And he actually lectures them, and I like how he lectures them in the movie. He says, what, you think you're better than me because you don't want to kill these people now? You just wanted to take all the money to develop these weapons like you didn't think we were going to use them? And I know it's so true because I used to... Angelina, if you're out there, people say guys and girls can't be friends. I had a girl that was my friend, not my sexual partner, but my friend. And she had a boyfriend who I also liked. And he was a good guy. He was a great guy, but he worked for Boeing, and he developed weapons, and he'd joke about how they're probably being used to get dropped on the heads of people in Afghanistan right now, but he wasn't about that. Like, he thought all that was sick and wrong, and he justified what he did because his job was compartmentalized. He just does one little small thing of building this weapon so ultimately he doesn't know, right? And that's what's going on in the world of technology. They have all these people doing these jobs that are like they're doing 1/100th of the puzzle, so they can only see so much. And it's not enough to have enough guilt about what they're doing. But at the end of the day, Dan knew that he was helping build the weapons that really were getting dropped on the bombs or on the heads of people in Afghanistan. And a lot of people are doing this. And it's not that he is there's a part of me that wants to say, I don't think Dan was a bad person. I mean, he was a really nice person, fun person to be around, hilarious guy, smart guy, brilliant guy. But at the end of the day, he's like, even though he knows, he's still doing it, right? And isn't that kind of what jobs do to people? They know, so many people have a job that they know is not right, but it's what provides for them and their family. And they're like, well, nobody else is going to take care of me and my family, and this world's kind of shitty anyway, so maybe a bomb's got to get dropped on somebody's head. I mean, that's kind of how people go on about their day. And I know I'm getting off tangent here, but the reason I brought up Angelina is because Angelina hasn't talked to me since 2013. We stayed friends the whole time, and we stayed friends ever since we knew each other up until, and if you wonder how her and I became friends, it's because we worked together, and then I met her, they eventually got married, and I imagine they're still married. They were a good couple. But she was just really cool and smart and fun, and I taught her how to drive like a stick shift. I don't know why I guess Dan drove an automatic too, but driving a stick in Seattle, her and I were always good friends, and we worked together and were like-minded. But when I started doing this research, she started calling me all these, stereotypes, accusing me of like early schizophrenia. And it was just like, man, these people, man. And I was like, honestly, she thinks I'm so bad for exposing this. And like, I don't want to say anything bad about Dan, but she's with a dude who she knows is making weapons that are getting dropped on people's heads. And now I'm the bad guy, That's why this world's so messed up, man. It's like even the best people are fucked up. And I guess that probably goes about me too. I got things that are wrong with me for sure. Everybody knows that. But yeah, I mean, I wish Angelina was out there. Just deny what I'm showing right now, what I'm laying down. Just watch how much more concrete it's going to get. And again, here's the headlines from everybody. People always want to argue. AP News, Jimmy Carter, the oldest, this is from October 1st, 2020, his 96th birthday, the oldest of all 44 presidents, right? And this is on the verge of, Joe Biden, Mr. 44, coming in there, who's going to play a very similar part to Jimmy Carter, looking incompetent. Plus, he gets to be senile. But no, it's just everybody, you guys, ABC News, NBC News, ABC News, and it would just go on. I'm just making the point. This is how everyone reported it. Everyone will be like, no, there's 45. No, there's not. Trump was the 44th person to be president. I've been talking about this stuff for a long time. Grover Cleveland had a split term. That's why the count's off. Stuff's not even hard to look up. And for all of you guys who have to ask the question and don't even try to research it, you're what's wrong with the world. It's the information age. You could figure out why the count's off one. Once upon a time, I had to ask that question. Why is the count of the presidents off by one? In the information age, you can write out that one sentence, and it'll probably bring up the answer about Grover Cleveland having a split term. It's that easy to find the answers. Sometimes I got people writing paragraphs trying to debunk something I said in the video because they didn't even take the time to look up if it was true. They thought it was wrong, and they made all these assumptions that I was wrong. It's like, no, I'm not wrong. And I'm talking about things like stating Trump being the 44th person to be president. I said that so many times when I pointed out rituals they did with him, and people be like, this is so dumb. He's not even 44, you fucking idiot. And it's like, okay, I didn't say he's number 44. I said he's the 44th person to be president. You know what I mean? That's what I hate about Americans, man. So quick to talk, so little listening skills, so easily offended if the truth is mentioned. It's something else. But all of this is synced up with Jimmy Carter's 96th birthday, right? 96. And he had the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis. Again, if you just take the most simple cipher, Freemason is 96, right? And if you write out Masonic, it's 74, but in the Sumerian cipher, where you multiply the alphabetic order times 6, Masonic is 444. People always think of Jay-Z and his 444 album. Rapper is 74. So it's 444 in Sumerian Gematria. So the rapper Jay-Z has an album called 444, and people find it mysterious. 4, number of foundation. 4th book of the Bible is Numbers. Talking about this big ritual with 44, the rep digit of 4. 4 is a number of time. All of these are rituals in time. So the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis. Now, while Jimmy Carter's 96, we have maybe the biggest blunder in foreign policy and national security, and it happens to be Joe Biden, who's also a Democrat, who they've been paralleling to Jimmy Carter, who clearly they've been paralleling to Jimmy Carter when you know Gematria and you see just how they're doing the rituals, you see? And by the way, in case I forget to do this at the end, I want to talk about Yom Kippur coming up, you guys, because it's going to be the second day of Yom Kippur, September 15th, is going to be the 44th day of the Superior General's Age, the Jesuits, the leader of their military. And there's always big stuff on Yom Kippur. But this year it falls on the day leaving 107 days left in the year. Military's 107 and 44, so on the day leaving 107 days left in the year, on the 44th week of the Superior General's Age, right as it starts for him, Yom Kippur falls, and that's the day for atonement for your sins and, important high holy day for the Jewish people, and the Jesuits have very Jewish origins as well as Catholic. And we invaded Afghanistan on October 7th, So I see a big parallel here. And don't forget Yom Kippur. The other thing about it is it's Gematria, right? 144, 54, like Jesuit order. So watch out for Yom Kippur this year, coming up September 15th. I meant to cover it yesterday and I forgot, so while it was there, I wanted to make sure I'm spouting it out again while I'm talking about all the 44 stuff. But okay, from Jimmy Carter's birthday to this latest blunder, which is drawing parallels to what he had going with Iran, which is another Jesuit-controlled puppet state. And again, we overthrew Iran with our CIA in the 50s, which is part of open U.S. history. What, you think we ever allowed Iran to go back to anyone else's hands? It's been a Jesuit CIA puppet state ever since. And don't forget, the CIA was creating a huge Jesuit ritual, which we'll wrap up with at the end. But Jimmy Carter, the CIA was established on the Pope's 201st day of his age, you know? There's more to it than that. We'll cover it at the end, but another 201 with the CIA. But Jimmy Carter, from his birthday to this ritual, August 26th, the Kabul airport, 47 weeks, right? Kabul's 47, and 47 is the number that has everything to do with authority in the presidency. President, White House, government authority, Vatican, they're all 47. Republican 47, Democrat 47, DC 47, Francis 47, France 47, Vatican 4, just 47. The word time is 47. All of these are rituals in time. The Masonic compass out of the Scottish Rite of France is set at 47 degrees. You know, it's the pole star at the tip, which equals 47. It's in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid. Ohio happens to be one of two states that equals 47 with the most simple cipher. Nevada's the other. That's where the first two primaries were between Clinton and Trump, the Democrat and the Republican. They were in the 247 states. President's 47. Like Trump in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rigged selection. Trump equals 47. But 47, big number. 47 weeks after Jimmy Carter's birthday. The tropics of this earth are 47 degrees apart. The word time is 47. And, you know, the Masons are big in D.C. A lot of them studied it in France, where the compass is set at 47 degrees. And again, just all these things are 47. D.C., government, authority, White House, president, Republican. The Republican Party came out of the Whig Party, Whigs 47. Lincoln created the Republican Party from the Whigs. He said 7 years ago. Democrat, foundation, framework, pole star, this nation's birthday, the 4th day of the 7th month. You see, there's a reason for these rituals and how they're all synced up. And again, the other thing is, you have to think about, for all of this stuff to work out perfectly the way it does, you know, his birthday being synced up with the ritual of Georgia being called for Biden, and then that lining up with Biden's birthday, and then how I can show you how Biden's all synced up with the Kennedys, the other Catholic power family in politics. For all of this to be the way it is, it means that they're all chosen, and they're chosen because of the birthdays and the names. And again, you have to think, you live in a world where, you know, how many people are born every single day? Tens of thousands? Just like tens of thousands die every day? And then when they make graphics about it on the screen, they can tell you a pandemic's going on. Like, that goes on every day. There's nothing different besides your computer graphics just, you know, glorifying everyone's death, using it to scare us. But again, it just goes to, my point is, with all these people born each day, there's going to be people who are born, who are Catholic, who are in the right place at the right time, who got the right numbers, who got the right name. And that might be why they get selected out of the hat, you know? They don't even realize maybe. Or maybe they do, and maybe they're birthed and named accordingly, or maybe once they get on the political stage, they say, oh, you know what? You know what, James? We want you to go by Jimmy now. You're not James Carter, you're Jimmy Carter. We like Jimmy. It goes with our little Jesuit jingle. And, you know, your birthday might have always been April 12th, but you know what it is now? Now it's October 1st, Jimmy. Your birthday is now October 1st because it's going to fit in with the script we got planned for you. And can somebody show me if Jimmy Carter's even alive still? He might be. I mean, people live to be 96, but I haven't seen him for a while. Sometimes I wonder. Because sometimes you don't hear from these guys for years, and all of a sudden they report they died, and they're like 100 years old, supposedly. And people do live to 100. I got to meet people that lived to 100 when I was a little kid. I used to help clean with my mom at an old folks home. There were people that were 100 years old there. I saw how many times an old couple, one of them would die and the other one would die days later. And I saw from a young age, I was like, wow, people really can die from a broken heart. It's so obvious. But Yeah, Jimmy, 47 weeks after his 96th birthday. I've been teaching about the Freemasons and the 47 degrees on the compass and how all this comes together through Paris, France, and the Scottish Rite and the Jesuits so many times. But here it is again, one more time. And again, for my background, make it a little bit bigger real quick. Again, that license plate's been back there for years. What is 47? What is 47? There it is. They live, we sleep. That's the Jesuits. And by the way, you guys, if you haven't seen They Live, a necessary movie, it's Channel 54 that has the entire world under mind control. Channel 54, Jesuit Order 54, Jimmy Carter 54, Kabul Airport 54, terrorism 54. Wait a minute. Jimmy Carter and terrorism are the exact same. And he is considered weak on terror? Okay. Central Intelligence Agency is also 135. I see how the joke comes together more and more. Amazing. But yeah, Channel 54 and They Live. Okay, so, let's not forget Trump. I have done more in 47 months than Biden has done in 47 years. Just all the 47s, right? Again and again and again. Cornerstone for D.C. laid September 18th, 1793, date with 47 numerology. Last year, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on that day in history. Judge equals 47, gavel 47. Trump put in his first Supreme Court justice on April 7th, 4-7. And the four-base ciphers. The four-base ciphers and the judge gavel are great examples. Judge and gavel are the exact same in all four ciphers. And the most pure cipher, 20th tarot cards, the judgment card. The first Supreme Court justice that Trump put in on 4-7, Neil McGill Gorsuch, his name equals 88. Washington, D.C., named after George Washington. George Washington's 88. Holy Roman Empire's 88. You see the 47, 88, 25? Look at Trump. Trump, who put in a record number of federal judges, 47, 88, 25, just like the value as a judge. And he put in more federal judges than any ever president. He was voted out in 2020, the year of judgment. He was judged for not being, competent enough on coronavirus. And it's like, I don't understand how he got any criticism, really, for the coronavirus. He went along with the whole World Health Organization agenda, and then he defunded World Health Organization. It's like, talk about a guy that plays all sides of the field. It's like, okay, you're going to declare a national emergency for COVID right after the WHO does, on a 56-date numerology, 56 years after his Jesuit education began. Society of Jesus, 56. Coronavirus, 56. And then he's going to do Operation Warp Speed on the anniversary of Claydex, bragging about rushing out the vaccines, and then, he's going to get coronavirus by the numbers on October, wasn't it? What day was it? October 2nd? I forget. Might have been January 10th. I forget what it was. I got to go back and look at when Trump got sick. Supposedly, it was a big ritual. There's just so many things they've done. Where did I put it at? Remember this? What? Iran is asking Interpol to issue a red notice for the arrest of President Trump and 47 other U.S. officials. You guys, there's just so many stories like this. And again, I don't think I would have ever figured out Gematria if it wasn't for 47, because they put it everywhere in news stories all the time. And notice news is 47 as well. Again, you just pay attention just how often 47 is inserted in a news story. Doesn't seem like it needs to be there. In a movie background, and in a line in a movie, a guy looks at the clock or his watch and it's 47. Remember, the word time is 47. So in the tropics of this earth to measure the solstices that are natural measurements in time. The tropics are set 47 degrees apart. It's not hard to see who gave it all to us: the language, the calendar, the coordinates. This gang's been building our understanding of the world around us. And again, the parallels to Biden, who was the 47th vice president, who took office with Obama when Obama was 47 years in D.C. before becoming president. And with regards to the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis, they said there were 52 United States diplomats involved. This is why you got to know your ciphers forwards and backwards. President 4752, White House 5247, government 5247, authority 4752. These numbers come together so much, as I've explained so many times. So 52 in the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis that began on the 4th of November in 79, Society of Jesus 79. The coronavirus pandemic declared on the 79th day of Anthony Fauci's age, which was 79 at the time. March 11, 2020, the day the pandemic was declared, was the 79th day of Fauci being 79 years old. I just showed the Washington State Jesuit commercial telling you to go out and get the vaccine, where they show a Jesuit university and etched in stone on the bench in front of the building is 1979. And I said, it's not an accident they're putting that in the commercial. Ends on 201, the Jesuit Order. Society of Jesus 79, the Jesuit Order 201, names for the same thing. Keep in mind, November 4th is the 308th day of the year. DC's on the 38th parallel north. Pentagon equals 38. Death, murder, killing, RIP, all 38. DC, the capital of the nation that is the military killer, that is essentially the Jesuit bicep. On August 3rd, 38, we had the Pentagon killing of the officer just outside the building. So... And then again, that day can be written 11/4. I was just talking about yesterday the significance of 114 in major explosions in history from Pearl Harbor to 9/11, and how yesterday was a span of 114 days from the Pope's birthday. The Jimmy Carter thing started on 11/4. Again, Georgetown 57, George 57. Georgetown established a month before George Washington turned 57. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, the Jesuits, D.C., secret societies, Manly P. Hall's, heads up. It's amazing that Manly P. Hall shared as much as he did, because he was a Mason, and I don't know if he crossed a line and shared more than he was supposed to, but he lived to be an old age. Did they want him to put some stuff out there? Did they always think if it was, maybe that's kind of how it is. They put stuff out there and expect people not to see it. I can't, some people think Manly P. Hall's this horrible, Mason and occultist, but to me, he's a guy who shared a lot of information and knowledge that sheds light on what's going on today. I probably would have never figured any of this out if he hadn't put that in his books. So I can't say that he's a bad person. I can't say that at all. But yesterday, we talked about how yesterday had 39 date numerology, federal equals 39. Well, Jimmy Carter was number 39. So... again, Fox News is drawing the parallels. Joe Biden's, this is the biggest blunder since Jimmy Carter. Fox News isn't going to tell their audience how it's all scripted, though, to play them for fools, so that they keep voting in a political party that doesn't give a shit about them. In the same way the Democrats don't give a shit about them, neither do the Republicans. They might speak more their language and their rhetoric and make it seem more like, they're their guys, but they're not. Not at all. They're the same guys who sent off your 18-year-olds to fight for the big Jesuit explosions on 9/11 that were blamed on the boogeyman in the cave. Here, you want some more 79? Here, I got another 79 for you. I got another 79 right here. Osama bin Laden, 79. How about another 47? How about 110? Buildings 1 and 2, 110 stories tall. Building 7, the third to fall that day, 47 floors tall. 241, the 53rd prime. Religion 53. Religion 127. Buildings 1, 2, and 7. Ground zero 127. Religion 46, like Catholic, like Afghanistan. Being blamed on incompetent number 46. You know why so many people watch my videos and think it must all be a coincidence? Because I just make it look so easy. The reason I make it look so easy is because I've been doing this for 8 years straight and studying it every day. Here, do a math problem. What's 8 times 365 times 10? Here, let's do it real quick. Online calculator. I'm going to make a point here. What is 8 times 365 times 10? And that misses a couple leap year days. Is that for real? Well, Malcolm Gladwell says you have to do something for 10,000 hours to be an expert at something. And if you put in 10,000 hours, you can be great at anything. That's according to Malcolm Gladwell. And he has a research and a bunch of other people that supposedly support his theory. It's an interesting thought. 10,000 hours is a lot of time. I once read that book in my early 20s and thought, man, how do you put 10,000 hours into something? I guess I didn't do the math. Because apparently I'm somewhere around 29,200 hours into my Gematria research. Because that's probably about how much time I've put in. I've been here every day since August of 2013. So now it's over a little more than 8 years. And I'd say if I average it out, it's probably about 10 hours a day. I don't take days off, you know? And there's some days I put in way more than that. And maybe some days I put in less. But I put in work on this every day, you know? And I've repeated a lot of these things a million times. Look at this story that we covered. We covered this one January 13th, 2016, right? Iran releases U.S. sailors. So we had like some hostages, right? We had some hostages here. And I pointed out how this story on that day came on a date with 39 numerology. And Jimmy Carter was the 39th president, and hostage equals 39, right? And also 10. You know, they said 10. When you write out 10 in the most simple cipher, it's 39. Like the 10 commandments from the 39 books in the Old Testament. Unless you're talking about a Catholic Old Testament, then you got 46 books, and you got 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than the Protestant Old Testament because of the 7 extra books. And, you know, I mean, isn't it just a coincidence that Catholic equals 145 and 46? And the Jewish nation, you know, Old Testament's Jewish, was created on 14/5 in a big Jesuit ritual. Again, it's not hard to see who created Israel either. Same people who instigated the world wars that led to it, which is this Catholic Church and Jesuit order who've done it all this same way. But I was pointing out then how that was an obvious, you know, tribute to Jimmy Carter, right? So it's obvious that what they did yesterday is related to Jimmy Carter and his legacy of being a weak liberal on foreign policy, and it comes on a 39 date numerology, right? And exactly 47 weeks after his birthday, the former president, now in Kabul, which was created the same year this nation was created on the 4th day of the 7th month. In the same year the Bavarian Illuminati was created that serves Rome and the Vatican, which equals 47. You know what I mean? And again, by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. Here, you guys, just things you got to understand. The Bavarian Illuminati's official date is May 1st, 1776. Adam Weishaupt, 51. Like May 1st, 51. Look, Rome, 51. Federal 51, Rome, Roman architecture, the federal city. You know what I mean? I mean, how transparent is this? So here's what I didn't know when I did that post, though. I didn't know reverse gematria. I learned reverse gematria at the end of 2016, so probably about 9 months. I recall it being around October. It was around October that we learned reverse gematria, and I think that was about the same time Derek launched this website. I think this website's been up since probably about October 2016, right around there. And oh, I didn't even need reversed back then, actually. I guess I just missed it, because I probably typed in Jimmy Carter and didn't see how his birth name, James Carter's 113. Okay, I didn't need reverse back then, but some stuff I wouldn't have caught back then because I didn't know reverse. But notice, James Carter equals 113 and 41, like mainstream, like dishonest, right? 113 comes from the Talmud. It is a number of dishonesty in the Talmud. Bava Kama 113a says it's okay for certain groups of people to lie to other people depending on the situation. And you know what? To be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure if you take away because again, I can only say so much because we're on YouTube, but it says that it's okay for Jews to lie to non-Jews in certain situations, as long as it's a legal setting, which is pretty much everywhere. But Jews will tell you that the root of that teaching is that Jews were being persecuted for being Jews, so they were given the God-given right to lie about being Jews to avoid, being persecuted by the Romans and others. But the point is that 113 is associated with dishonesty. There's a movie called The Debt. Look up this movie. It's on the streaming services too. The Debt. It's about Mossad agents, right? It's about Mossad agents who have to live with a lie, and it has to do with the Nazis and stuff. And speaking of it having to do with the Nazis in 113, what is it? What am I thinking? Nazi Party is 113. That's what it is. There's more to it too. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but there's more with the Nazis in 113. Maybe it's Swastika? Swastika? Yeah, Swastika's 113, Nazi Party 113. So this movie, The Debt, came out in history on August 31st. Interesting. Okay, but what this movie is about, and I love that they have to, okay, it's 30 years later that the lie comes to light. 113 is the 30th prime number, okay? 113 is the 30th prime, but if you watch this movie, here, where's the running length? Did IMDb change their site so it doesn't show how long a movie is anymore? Oh, there it is. It's an hour and 53 minutes long, right? That's 113 minutes. 113. Okay, 113. If you watch the movie where the lie happens, is it exactly 1 hour and 13 minutes into the movie? Not an hour and 12 minutes and 30 seconds. An hour and 13 minutes and maybe a few seconds in, that's where the lie happens. At 1 hour and 13 minutes in, then it's 30 years later that the lie comes to light, and then things get ugly for these people. Okay? This is a movie about living with a lie for 30 years. 113 is the 30th prime. And here, just to show you something. Again, Bava Kama 113a says Jews may use lies to circumvent a Gentile. That's a non-Jew. And mainstream equals 113, dishonest 113, perverted 113, not true 113, not honest 113, not factual 113, disinfo 113, politics 113, politics 113, politics 113, politics 113. All you QAnon fucking idiots that I told you were. When I call you a fucking idiot, you better look in the mirror and realize I'm probably right. I'm sorry, you guys. I might sound arrogant, but QAnon is the biggest load of Jesuit shit there ever was. Telling you to trust the plan. QAnon equals 201. QAnon also equals Trump. And Trump is a Jesuit puppet. Not factual 113, disinfo 113, politics 113, perjury 113, fiction 113, bullshit 113, infidelity 113, divorce 113, sinister 113, erroneous 113. All of these numbers have to do with dishonesty, right? Somebody asked if I've ever covered THX 1138. I've shown this post a million times. I definitely covered THX 1138. Everyone should go watch that movie. George Lucas 113, the green screen 113, used to deceive us a lot. Have you ever looked into Piltdown Man? If you haven't looked into Piltdown Man, once upon a time I only knew these two ciphers, and this is the way I taught it back then. I taught about Bava Kamal 113, and I taught about how Piltdown, you see how it's 113 and 41, just like dishonest and mainstream? Look up Piltdown Man. Had we been in school, in slave school at a younger age, we would have learned about Piltdown Man. Piltdown Man was taught for 41 years in school classrooms. 41 years before it was an admitted lie. It was a known lie the whole time by the scientific community, by the scientific experts. It went on for 41 years. They got to lie that the first proof of evolution was Piltdown Man found in the UK, which was used as proof of why white people have greater intelligence than other races, because the most evolved person was from the white nation that is the United Kingdom. That's the first proof of evolution, you guys. Piltdown Man. And look it up. Those are all facts. How many of your science teachers today, that teach you about evolution? Speaking of, it's like, you guys, they've put their number on everything. You see how evolution's got the 47 in it? Like Christian. And again, these things are at odds with each other, right? They give you the spiritual bullshit and the science bullshit. And then they make you choose which bullshit you like more. And then really what you don't realize is all the stuff that you think is science is all bullshit. It's not to say that science is bullshit. Science is a real thing. Science is a way of doing things to understand the world. What I've done with Gematria is scientific. Form a theory. Test your theory. Document, research hard. Take what you understand and project the future with it. I mean, we've been doing this consistently. And I command everybody in the chat to stop responding to people when they say, can you predict anything with this? I mean, it's got to be a troll question at this point. I've predicted a gazillion things. There's no one in the history of the world who's ever predicted more. And I'm sorry, that's a fact, you guys. There's no one in the history of the world who's ever predicted more correct. But what annoys me is when I see people respond to it, they know one thing that I predicted. I'm like, what? That's all you can respond that I've predicted correct? One thing? Pay attention to what we do. Predict shit correct all the time. All the time. Everything I've laid down about the type of stories that will roll around every month, dead on. Those are all correct predictions as well. When you lay out the form fit map for what's going to be on the news on what days, those are correct predictions. Everything we've shown is explaining how the system works. But then we've also have very specific predictions, like why Prince was going to die soon, right after Vanity's death, the day of the Grammys. Again, Prince, his girlfriend from the time of Purple Rain, died the day of the 58th Grammys. And then we talked about two numbers in regards to his death, 67 and 118. He ended up dying 67 days from her death in an elevator, which equals 118. It's a lot to explain, but I mean, just so many specific predictions. Sports, celebrity death, the day there'll be mass shootings, what will happen in politics, elections, a million things. Consistently. Storms, weather, just everything. And again, there's nothing left for me to prove. I'll just continue to prove the same shit over and over, but I have nothing left to prove. Can you predict stuff with this? You have to be retarded to ask that question. And truly retarded, because I consider everyone who doesn't have this knowledge a retard on some form. They haven't gone out and asked the right questions at any point since 2013. I've been flooding the internet with information since 2013, exposing exactly what's going on in regards to the stories that people should be looking up and looking for more information every day. And before 2017-18, before the censorship went to whole new levels, my work wasn't that hard to find. A lot of stuff, if you would have searched any type of news story, my video would have come up as the first thing on the YouTube search before they reformatted everything so that it just goes to, NBC News and Lester Holt. Now YouTube's just corporate news, But, might have misspoke. YouTube is now just mostly just, the corporate mainstream sources when you search for anything. It didn't used to be that way. I was here for years doing it before it was that way. And I used to get a lot more views, too. I mean, it's definitely taken a toll on people coming across the information, but people should have found me a long time ago. We're covering the biggest, most important stories of the time. We called out the Vegas mass shooting date months in advance, why it was going to be the biggest false flag since 9/11 in the U.S. in relation to Yom Kippur. And again, watch, they're going to have a whopper for Yom Kippur this year, too. Atonement for your sins. They know they got a society of sinners, right? They got them all believing that that's what their religion's about, that you're a born sinner. They influence sin all the time. I mean, look at what Big Al and I had this conversation yesterday. Big Al grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school, and he said the thing that was always, fucked up is, Catholic Church is, you don't have sex until you're married and all this, but then you got all the girls dressed up in these cute little skirts. And everybody knows that the Catholic girl outfit's a sexy outfit. That's why they're always showing it that way on TV and in movies and TV shows and music videos. Don't you see how it's kind of like a way to fuck with you? To give you all these rules, and this is bad if you do any of this, but then they tempt you with it. They got the girls wearing the little cute skirts to school every day, right? This is how they've made our world, you guys. Told us, don't do this, this is all bad, this will get you in all this trouble. And then they put it all there and make it so convenient for you, They make all the bad temptation shit right there. They make it abundant everywhere. And that's why you got the whole world. It's like secretly doing stuff and feeling guilty and lying to people and, cheating and hiding poor behavior from others and developing addictions in the dark and... this is the world these people have made. And they done it by a code, man. They done it by a code. So remember, Iranian hostage crisis ends on 20/1. In comes the vice president, George Herbert Walker Bush, who was the 11th director of the CIA, the man who gave the speech about a new world order. September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day of the big attack on New York, the 11th state, with the big buildings that look like 11s, right? You know the riddle. 1968, the year World Trade Center construction began. The year 9/11 was made the National Emergency Dialing Code. On the 47th day of the year, mind you. The year George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones, who was the president during 9/11. Again, terrorism, Iranian hostage crisis, 9/11, Kabul airport right now. Everything before and in between, all by the same code. The Club of Rome established in 68 on April 7th, 3 days after the killing of Martin Luther King Jr. on the 95th day of the leap year, 4/4. The Jesuits created to counter the 95 Theses. Barack Obama equals 68. The 44th president, MLK, killed on 4/4 in 68. Terrorism, fear, all of this stuff's connected. Speak out. Speak against the government. Remember, MLK came out against the U.S. military April 4th, 67 in the speech, A Time to Break Silence Beyond Vietnam, gets assassinated a year to the day later. And is it all script? I mean, did he not realize the script that he'd entered into? Supposedly he was warned against giving the speech on 4/4. I do find it interesting that he gave the speech about the military on 4/4. Military 44. But notice, you guys, CIA 13, right? In 68. I just showed the headline from 2016 about, where did it go? This one. This is from the 13th day of the year, right? 13. Propaganda, a code, 13 layers of bricks on the unfinished pyramid on the dollar bill. 13 layers of bricks on the unfinished pyramid on the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry's headquarters in D.C., the House of the Temple. And with regards to the 13 layers of bricks and the all-seeing eye, which is the Eye of Providence, you guys check this out. Eye of Providence, I should have caught this yesterday. Eye of Providence is 238, right? The Kabul airport attack was on the 238th day of the year. ISIS-K in English extended to 238. The White House warned about ISIS-K attacking the airport on 23/8. But the attack was 86 days before Joe Biden's birthday. Eye of Providence, 86. The Eye of Providence is also commonly just referred to as the all-seeing eye, and that is 119, which is half of 238. 238 divisible by 119. And again, you just think about terrorism, 9/11, 11/9, Afghanistan, back in Afghanistan, 20 years later, times 2, And 20 years later, and now the thing is ISIS, right? ISIS is 20 in the most pure cipher. And the most pure cipher time is 20, right? Cross is 20. The Jesuits, the Knights Templar, the cross to represent time because it divides into 4 sections like the 4 seasons. Seasons 20. A lowercase t looks like a cross. It's the 20th letter. The Knights Templar. The Taliban. T, right? Time. Rituals. Numbers. Planned. Okay, so again, ISIS-K 68, like CIA, blamed for the killing of 13, right? That'll be wrapped in the flag with the 13 stripes, where the well-programmed, useful idiots who went to 13 years of slave school won't think to ask, wait a minute, how do I know that this footage is of a bombing from today? How do I know this isn't from the last 20 years since we've been bombing the hell out of this nation? And they've been telling us that sometimes we've bombed the wrong things and we've killed innocent people by the hundreds. I mean, that's been reported in our media. We never saw any footage, any photos. We don't know what it looked like when we accidentally bombed. Just do a web search. I mean, how many stories were in the mainstream about us accidentally bombing large family gatherings, weddings? I mean, this stuff was reported day in and day out, and people didn't even really care. And again, that should tell you everything you need to know about this nation. It wasn't a crisis that for 20 years we were bombing a nation where there was hardly any evidence they were responsible for 9/11, just killing countless lives, developing drone technology more and more to surveillance and bomb countries and people that might be terrorists, and looking at headlines about how today the drone accidentally bombed, a wedding and killed 100 innocents. That wasn't a crisis. That wasn't something to get up in arms about, to change our way of life over. But some germs are, huh? It's because all everybody cares about is themselves. And you have a society of losers and pussies and cowards with no brains that just do what they're told, man. I mean, it's just so sick. But people say, Zach, have some understanding. They've been programmed. Well, I mean, haven't I? I broke out of it. What's wrong with everybody else? Here, the CIA, you guys. It was established September 18th, 47, right? In 47. And from the Pope at the time, Pope Pius XII, from his birthday to September 18th, 47 was his 201st day of his age. And Catholic Pope is 201, the Jesuit order is 201, and national intelligence is 201, which is the purpose of the CIA, to gather national intelligence. So, do you think that's an accident? Here's another one you can look up. There's a TV show on Amazon right now. Jack Ryan, based on the Tom Clancy character who's Jesuit educated who went to Boston College. For the TV show, they chose the actor from The Office. The Office is from Scranton, Pennsylvania. That's where it's set. The Office is set in Scranton, Pennsylvania. That's where Joe Biden was born, Scranton, Pennsylvania. Look up and see that The Office ran 201 episodes. 201. And again, every episode shows the Jesuit prep school flag in it. And then you got Joe Biden, whose wife and daughter both died on Limestone Road. By the way, Inauguration Day, the day that the 444-day Iranian hostage crisis, the official name of it is Inauguration of the President of the United States, which equals 201. It's on 20/1. You got the Central Intelligence Agency, United States of America, 201 on the Pope's 201st day of his age. You got the Office actor who was in 201 episodes who becomes the CIA, Jack Ryan, Jesuit character for the new Amazon show that's about us over in the Middle East fighting terrorism, right? That they're making right now, high-budget show. You got Leo J. O'Donovan, the Jesuit priest who did the funeral for Beau Biden, who died 201 days before the Pope's birthday, and who did the inauguration for Biden on 20/1. He was the former president of Georgetown, Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, 201, the Jesuit school there in D.C. that simulated the election for Biden. You got that. You got, let me see here. You got Beau Biden again. Here he is, died at 46. Look at this. Beau Biden, by the way, another 54 like Jesuit order. He's really Joe Jr., but he died May 30th, 201 days before Pope Francis' birthday. And May 30th is what? 30 plus 5, 35, Catholic 35, Thursday 35. Hamid Karzai, who the airport was named after, the bombing was exactly 35 weeks after his birthday on a Thursday, when we're always talking about Thursday and 35, and the Catholics. And Rambo made it real clear with Jupiter being venerated as Peter, which is worshipped by the Catholics. Jupiter, Peter, St. Peter's Basilica. But Pope Francis, again, Beau Biden dies 201 days before his birthday. Probably just a coincidence, right? 46, Joe Biden number 46 on 201 with the 201 priest, Jesuit priest. By the way, that was synced up with Pope Francis' 79th birthday. Society of Jesus, 79. Beau, 79. You know what I mean? Pope Francis was still 78. Joe Biden takes the White House at age 78. Jesuit, 78. Remember what they did on January 7th, the 78-year anniversary of the death of Nikola Tesla? Tesla equals 78. Jesuit, 78. They said Elon Musk was the richest man in the world that day. He died on 7-1, Catholic 71 with the alphabetic order. The election was called for Biden on January 7th, 7-1. The anniversary of him being called senator-elect right before his wife and daughter died on Limestone Road, 201. Again, just one more time. And again, perfectly synced with the Superior General and the Pope, the crash. Perfect ritual. I covered it. I got a post. I could show it to you right now, but I want you to look up some things. Go to my website, GematriaEffectNews, and search for the story and read it. I've covered it several times in the last year. So make sure we hit everything here. I know we hit a lot. Yeah, if you missed all my stuff on the Kabul airport, there's even more I could say about it. But Check out yesterday's videos. I don't need to be super redundant about everything, especially if I covered it in the last 24 hours. And but by the way, if I wasn't clear when I was talking about Piltdown and all that, when I said the scientific bullshit and the spiritual bullshit, I'm not saying all spirituality is bullshit, and I'm not saying all science is bullshit. I'm saying those are real things that people should be dually invested in and see where they come together. I mean, to me, it seems obvious that there must be a creator. Just there's nothing, and then there's a spark, and I mean, the atheist who believes in this the nothingness and the spark that created everything story, I mean, you can believe whatever you want, but to make the argument of like, well, I want to say that because I don't know where to explain where God came from. Again, I mean, Big Al didn't understand this phrase yesterday. So he said somebody said it to him recently. He didn't like it, that we're not meant to know everything. We really might not be meant to know everything, but we in our power should strive to understand as much as we can about this world. And we'll probably never be able to explain where God might have come from. But I would imagine that somehow there's something that came from something which gave rise to something else, and somehow we're here. And again, the other thing to realize is the people who rule this world, they drive humanity away from spirituality, and they steer them towards religion. They steer them in our culture towards Christianity. And again, to me, these are all part of the traps and the lies and the things that hold humanity down and ruin the quality of life on Earth. And that's why I speak against it the way I do. And honestly, guys, I'm sorry if it offends you, and you're one of the people that I lost hundreds of dollars again from the Patreon for going against Christianity. It's nothing new, and that's fine. I mean, if those people would rather invest their hopes and their beliefs in the belief that someday Jesus is going to come back and save us all, then you go do that. That's your choice. That's your freedom to do that. But again, to drop out on this message at such a crucial time when the research is so good, again, I feel like you guys are proving my point. You're what's wrong with the world. Religion's only going to hold us back. It's never going to help us reach our goals. It blinds people. It makes them believe in the wrong things. It makes them take the wrong side. It stunts them. It keeps them from doing the work they should be doing to make the world a better place, because it allows them to put their beliefs in some delusion that makes zero fucking sense. And feel good about themselves, like they're doing something because their mom and dad's proud of them, who also believed in the same bullshit. You know what I mean? And that's exactly how I see it. I'm sorry, I don't think a single one of you Jesus believers, I don't know what any of you have brought to the world that's helpful for fighting this cabal. I don't know what any of you have done. I don't. It's not to say that all Christians are bad. I know there's good Christian people, but sorry, I got to be Aaron again. Yours truly, who's not a believer, who was raised Lutheran but saw that religion was bullshit at a young age and was kicked out of confirmation class at age 12 for asking too many questions, a real story. Told me all I need to know about religious people. They can't even answer any fair questions. They'll just kick you right out of the discussion. Just happened to me with the Christian losers earlier this week when I was trying to tell them what's going on in Afghanistan by the Jesuits. They didn't want to know anything about the evil of the Society of Jesus. They just wanted to sing Kumbaya like a bunch of fucking losers. You know? Singing's nice when you're in kindergarten. I like music. I mean, everybody does. And I'm not just saying it's for little kids, but if that's all you do together for your spiritual practices, get together and feel good because y'all believe in the same things and sing some songs, that isn't shit. Well, where's that story in the Bible about that's what Jesus did? He just got together and sang songs and didn't do shit else? I thought he said the truth shall set you free. You know, Christians don't want anything to do with the truth. They just want to believe in their bullshit. And, just say, I'm a sinner and I believe and I'm going to go to heaven. I mean, that's 90% of Christianity. It's like, what is that? Oh, I can't do anything about that, Zach. That's, we got to wait for Jesus. What is that? Listening to some delusional idiots that believe in a fairy tale that doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't think I'm being too hard. I think I'm just saying what it is and why we are where we are. By the way, come back to the 113 list. Again, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, 113. Maybe his retirement poem, Dear Basketball, Utah Jazz, NASA, big lying agency established on a 113 date. Maybe I didn't put it there in the post because I was just sticking with those two ciphers. But again, just to bring you up to times, if you write out the National Basketball Association, which Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant played for, the two big 113 guys, the National Basketball Association's 113. Remember what they did last year on March 11th, 11/3? There's only one team in the league that equals 113. Their full name, Utah Jazz, is 113. There's 30 teams in the NBA. 113 is the 30th prime. There's technically one other team that has a 113 connection, but it's not their full name. It's just the city. Dallas is 113 in reverse. And go back and look at March 11, 2020, the day the pandemic was declared. Dallas got to finish their game that day. Dallas scored 113 points. The Utah Jazz were blamed for the spread of coronavirus. And again, the supposed coronavirus pandemic happened on 113 in a big Jesuit ritual, which is an obvious fucking lie. Completely transparent. And again, it's just the latest 113 ritual. Now, imagine if my work about gematria had caught wildfire in 2015 instead of the flat earth theory. Because I had a big group of people who left my community in 2015 because I wouldn't come around to flat earth. And I wasn't even being hard on it at first. I was just like, I don't think the earth's flat. And then people are like, you must be a shill then if you can't see the earth's flat, Zach. I was like, well, I can't see really what shape the earth is at all. I'm a little ant and the earth's a big object. But I was saying to them then, I was like, you guys, you're just going to quit this work? We're making all these advancements and discoveries and, calling spades with proof to spare. Just so many people that were helping out just abandoned me in 2015 and then started making videos calling me a shill because I didn't think the earth was flat. And again, I was just saying things like, I can't explain a sunset or a sunrise. I can't explain the phenomenon of the North Star and the Southern Cross. I can't explain, there were several things that I couldn't explain on a flat earth. And I thought they were all logical points. I still do. But it made all these people think I was an instant shill and then they couldn't help out with gematria anymore. But I'm just saying, let's say in 2015, gematria went viral and people learned about 113 and the Jesuits and the Masons and how they're coding this and, creating agendas that are taking away our rights and liberties. The same type of stuff I've been saying over and over and over and over. And then imagine it had the world been up on this knowledge and they tried to declare a coronavirus pandemic on us on March 11th as they tell us the symptoms or all the symptoms we're used to was sickness. Everything they showed you that were symptoms of coronavirus, flu, headache, fatigue, body soreness, sore throat, congestion, wheeziness, trouble breathing. These are all symptoms of flu, pneumonia, cold, the same stuff people experience every winter, and it's the same thing every winter. The least healthy and the people with the weakest immune systems, they are the most impacted by these illnesses that exist in our world. And these are the symptoms. I remember when, after they gave us that list, then it was like a week later, they're like, new symptom of COVID, trouble smelling and tasting. And I was like, okay. Is everybody born yesterday? These are the symptoms of being sick, man. Who has not had hot soup in the winter while they're all sick and congested and can't taste shit, can't smell shit because they're so sick? We've all had this experience. All of a sudden, this is what COVID is? Was it even called COVID yet? It was still coronavirus, Then it was COVID. But the point I'm making is, you guys, the knowledge was here in this community. It was starting to take off. It did eventually take back off again in 2016, because in 2016, I just called everything dead on, from Prince's death to every sports championship. And, USA Today wrote an article about me that year. And then 2017, I got censored super hardcore, and I've been able to build back up and only to be deleted 20 more times. But, yeah, I'm just saying, imagine Flat Earth's not what went viral, but Gematria did in 2015. Because millions upon millions of people know about Gematria. You've had so many TV, it's made so much of a splash in the mainstream, from sports to late night comedians to movies to Obama saying we don't have time for the Flat Earth theory. Imagine if they were trying to wage a war against Gematria. Just more and more people would find out about it. Wage a war against this subject. Try to beat this subject. Like, to me, Flat Earth's not hard to beat. I know a lot of you guys are going to believe in it because it's your religion, but again, you guys can't answer simple questions that pretty much disprove it. And you guys go, no, it doesn't. You just have to ignore it like we do, and then you can say the Earth's still flat. But the point I'm making is, I was saying this in 2015, I was saying, oh, fuck, man. We got this knowledge, and because I was on this for 2 years in, and we'd made a lot of headway. We were getting good with the Gematria in 2015. And then just like overnight, half the people just out, just like all of a sudden the views are down. All the comments are just getting attacked by the flat earthers who were overnight converts to the new religion. And I was saying, okay, even if you guys are right about the flat earth, how's this going to help fight the tyranny and the agendas and what's coming and the next 9/11? And then they'd be like, well, when everybody sees that the earth is flat, then they'll understand that everything else is a lie. It's like, I don't even know if that's true. I mean, but okay. I don't know how you're going to prove the Earth's flat unless you guys get on a million cruise ships and form a circle around the ice wall that you say is there, and you're simultaneously broadcasting and showing that there's a giant ice wall around the entire Earth. I don't know how this ice doesn't melt with all the water running up against it constantly. You think it would eventually melt, and then all the water would go off the Earth, and I don't know what would happen. But, yeah, again, you guys, I mean, something I've known my whole life, and I don't mean to sound arrogant again and mean, but something I've known in my whole life is that most people are pretty, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm that smart again, but just most people aren't very smart. I'm a lot smarter than most people, not because I'm so smart, but that most people are pretty incompetent and dumb and slow and seemingly can hardly tie their own shoes. And that's kind of how I felt about the flat earth there. I was like, man, you thought people were awake, and then this shit comes, and this is their new religion, and they care more about this than something that's actually fact and logic-based and evidence-based and clearly a million times more important. And it is. I'm sorry, guys. Flat earth is a joke. Gematria is not a joke. Gematria is the shit, you know? Gematria is the shit. It's the shit that these people do every damn day and exposes them every damn day. Flat earth is a lost religion, you know, ignoring facts to believe in something. It's based in belief. It's not based in any evidence. It's based in fallacy. It's based in rumors. It's based in false measurements. It's based in faulty talking points. Almost every flat earther regurgitates the same shit. NASA means to deceive in Hebrew, which it does not. It doesn't at all. Completely made up. And, again, I just got to make this point because, you guys, the time is now to do something important, and wasting your time on flat earth is simply that, wasting your time. You know, you can believe in all the nonsense you want to believe in, from Jesus to flat earth. None of it's going to help with anything. What's going to help is truth. Gematria is a truth-related subject. It's also something that can be manipulated. Anything can be manipulated. Truthful things can be manipulated. You know, there's people that use gematria in a stupid way every day. Never what I've modeled. I've always modeled just clear, precise, undeniable patterns. And again, everything I've taught for years, it just, you know, it's there day after day after day. I mean, this post is from March of 2017. And way before this post, we were talking about 47. I've been talking about 47 the whole time I've been here. And just a gazillion examples since. Every other thing I pointed out, there's just building examples by the day, building evidence to prove the point further. And again, everything I've been explaining, it's obvious that these politicians, left and right, they're chosen puppets. They're part of this network. They're part of this gang. And they're chosen for a reason, because they're all part of a script, and they have to fit in with the script. I'm always amazed at how many decoders never measure from the people's birthday when they do in the story. Like, even Rambo skips it a lot sometimes. I'm just like, why do you skip that? I mean, that's always one of the most crucial things, you guys. These chosen actors, they got the right birthdays, they got the right names. And I'm going to open up the phone line, but I don't want anybody to call in. There's only one person in the world who I'm opening up the phone line for right now, and that's because she just drove through Georgia, and she stopped by the Georgia Guidestones. And remember, I've been saying for years, I'm a little bit worried about 2024, and I was saying this a long time ago when we were a lot further away from 2024. You know, I was saying this back in 2014, but now it's 7 years later, and 2024 is a lot closer. But in 2024, the Georgia Guidestones are going to turn 44 years old. They were put there March 22nd, 1980. If you don't know the Georgia Guidestones, I'm doing this before we get the caller on, because she's going to tell us what she saw from visiting them. But the Georgia Guidestones, it's interesting that Wikipedia now says they were erected in 79. It's just like, why does it say that? They weren't erected in 1979. They have a marking date on them that's March 22nd, 1980. Society of Jesus is 79, unless they were erected in 79 and then they weren't marked until March 22nd, 1980. But here, on March 22nd, 1980, the monument was unveiled before an audience variously... So, okay, maybe they put him up there and then they didn't unveil it until 3/2/280? Okay. But anyway, 3/2/2, right where we started, right? 1980. 2024 will be 44 years later. So many rituals in Georgia with 44. The thing that's worrisome about this is the 10 laws for a new world, that's what's on the Georgia Guidestones, begin with maintain humanity under 500 million. And that number comes from the believed population of the earth before the use of fossil fuels. And in the TV show Utopia, which Amazon just remade during the time of the pandemic, it's about a group of billionaires who get together and agree to reduce the Earth's population to 500 million with an agenda that is a pandemic and vaccines. The vaccines and the billionaire plan is to sterilize humanity. And, 95% of humanity, so that the number goes way down. The Romanians are the only genetic species that can procreate in Utopia. The Romanians, all roads lead to Rome. I need to go back and watch it again. I think 79 is a big year in that show. To go back to 79, if I remember correctly. But if that's true, I need to go back and look at if that's true. If they go back to, here, you know what? I can probably look it up real quick because I got a post on it. Is it 79? Okay. Janus is the plan by the billionaires to depopulate the world in Utopia. And the month of January is named after Janus, and Janus is the Roman god of Gates, and Bill Gates did his decade of vaccines January 2010, a decade before January 2020 when coronavirus showed up in Seattle, the first confirmed case in the world outside of mainland China. And Bill Gates said in 10 years he wanted to push to vaccinate the world, which coronavirus has given him. But Bill Gates also said in 2010 at his TED Talk that we need to reduce population, and we can do it if we do a good job with vaccines. But hold on. As for the second season of the British version of Utopia, it begins with a murder in Rome on March 20th, 1979, the 79th day of the year. Okay. So it is 79 in the show. And now Wikipedia didn't used to have this about how that they were erected in 79. You see how they're 19 feet 3 inches tall, though? That's like 193, the 44th prime, you see? Georgia 44. And the thing is, to get the Earth's population down to 500 million, you'd have to get rid of 13 out of 14 living people today. And this nation did begin with a genocide, right? Genocide's 44. Military's 44. How about Pfizer? Pfizer, most sued company in the history of the world for wrongful death and injury for their medicine. And isn't it interesting that medicine has the 44 encoded in it? Am I tripping? Is Doctor 44? I'm tripping about Doctor. It's not Doctor. But, 2024 will be 44 years, And don't forget, March 22nd, 2020 was the day New York locked down and many other cities in the U.S., something we predicted that would happen in advance. They call New York Gotham and Batman. Batman says his grandfather created Skull and Bones in the 33rd episode of the show. But also, just with the most simple side for you guys, Kill is 44, right? Kill is 44. First president to ever die in office died on April 4th. MLK killed on 4/4. His assassin died 44 days from his birthday. Malcolm X was killed on a 44-date numerology. His assassin, Thomas Hagen, got 44 years in prison. Thomas Hagen in the most pure ciphers, 44. It's a long list beyond just what I said with killing in 44. So I just worry a little bit about these Georgia Guidestones in the year 2024 and the plans for humanity that have been echoed out by Bill Gates types. And, Bill Gates out of Seattle, like Amazon, who decided to remake this show about getting rid of humanity with a vaccine and a virus and, calling it Janus. And if you've missed my presentations on this, there's a lot more to this as well. It's perfectly synced with John Cusack, who plays the part of a Bill Gates type, and Oh, yeah. Also, the Good Club, you guys. I got to look more into the Georgia Guidestones. I want to see if I can find out when they really were erected. I want to make sure this 79 thing's true because it was a big deal when Bill Gates and Oprah and some other bigwigs in the world got together and talked about what we need to do about population. They called it the Good Club. The Good Club is talking about what we need to do with the Earth's population, you guys. You like that? You like when billionaires get together and talk about what we need to do about the Earth's population? Look into 1974, Henry Kissinger's meeting about reducing population in 47 nations in 74. Let me open up the phone line now. We're going to take the call. The call is only for this one caller, so don't call in unless you're her. If she doesn't call in, but don't call in. We'll have a moment of silence for as long as it takes for her to call in. I believe she's out there listening. She was in the stream when I started, unless I went too long and she had to go somewhere. But she was here at the beginning, and she has the YouTube channel Gematria Snips. She'll take like a minute clip of my longer videos if she likes it and put it on her channel, which I appreciate. But I'm opening up the line for her right now. And again, if she wants to call in, the line is open for her. So if I pick up the phone and it's not her and you're like, oh, I just wanted to say something, I'm going to assume you're like an idiot. Okay? So I'm going to assume you're an idiot if you're calling in when I said I'm opening it up for her to talk about her trip to the Georgia Guidestones. And if we don't get a call, then I just know she's not out there anymore and I went too long, but that's okay. We'll get her on. Because I know that she said she wanted to share with the audience about her trip and what she saw. Here, I'll read what Wikipedia's got up here while we wait. The Georgia Guidestones are a granite monument erected in 1979 in Elbert County, Georgia. Well, we're getting a call. I can't remember where she lives, so I don't know if this is her state. 231?
Hi.
Is this who I'm expecting?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I should have said that. Yeah, that's me. I'm Alex, Gematria Snip.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. All right, you got the floor. I'm looking forward to the story.
Well, I'm not the best at speaking, but I don't know. It was just like when we went there because we went to Legoland in Florida, and just on the way back here to Michigan was when we came from there, and it took us up some really weird roads. And like one of the things I thought was like I was just taking screenshots on like my fiance's phone along the trip because my phone's broke and I can't take pictures of anything right now. So like I was taking screenshots of like the GPS, and like one of the things that I had noticed is like, so there's a 76 gas station at the, what is it? It's at the 56. There's a 76 gas station at the 56 mile mark, and that is with when you have 1 hour and 2 minutes left to go. And obviously like 76, like Skull and Bones and Secret Society and all that stuff. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And then, yeah, like just the whole vibe of like everything there, like it's, I don't know, I wish more people would look a bit more into it because of, like it's under surveillance 24/7. Like nobody questions why do these need to be watched at all times? Like there's a car that was sitting on the corner of the road when we got there with like, it was an older Kia something, but like it had like super blacked out windows, and it was at the stop sign before you turn on there. But yeah, they're massive, and I didn't want to walk up to it because when we had went there, it was nighttime. The picture is on Free to Find Truth, and it's just under Gematria Snips. But yeah, they're ginormous. Like we couldn't go up to it, but luckily we have to go back down to Florida within the next couple months, and we're gonna make another trip there during the daytime to see it. And then yeah, there are I'd say maybe about 10 minutes away from that because it took us down a whole bunch of other back roads just to get to the highway we needed to get to. Yeah, there's no highways around there for one. Yeah, it's all in the country where they are. It's like they don't belong there at all, like not at all. And yeah, it took us down all these back roads just to get to the highway. Well, along that, about 10 minutes away from there, we end up running into this huge dam. huge, and it's there. I think it's South Carolina's biggest dam. I forget the name of it. I have to check the name of it. But yeah, and then that just started me looking into just dams around there, looking for the name of that one, and that's when I found out just how many dams are right around that area.
Huh.
It's insane. It's all on a downward slope. Like, you can, on Google Earth, maybe maps, you can see the angle of, like, it shows you the dimension of the Earth and everything, and you can see that the Georgia Guidestones, it's on a hill. And yeah, I don't know, it's just trippy when you kind of start putting it all together with it. Like, you know?
Yeah, dams. I mean, they could do a lot with dams if they wanted to cause mayhem. I really appreciate you doing this.
That's what that makes me think with the Guidestones. It makes me think that it's like something to be, like, it can be discovered obviously underwater. Like, it'll stand underwater, it'll stay underwater. Like,
sure, that makes sense. I mean, and just the whole biblical thing and the flood and the Torah. And you saying the gas station 76, Skull and Bones equals 76. They identify by 322 the day these were unveiled. And then you said by exit 56, the big Jesuit number that goes with Skull and Bones and the Templars. And yeah. You know what the organic thing is here that weirds me out? I go to your Free to Find Truth post and it says it was posted 4 days, 4 hours ago. How weird is that?
I know, there was a lot of trippy, like, from the distance, what was it? It might have been the distance of Florida. I forget to there. So at one point, it was 333, though. It was really weird. I don't know.
Sometimes, yeah, life is weird, man. There's an organic side, absolutely. So that is weird.
It all got me thinking about, too, with with the whole, everybody's been talking about since the pandemic with, like, George Orwell's. It made me think of, like, I don't know, just little bits of things with that, like, with just the name of it alone, like Georgia Well, and, like, I don't know.
True. That and again, the whole George Floyd thing. The whole George Floyd thing, it was in Georgia with Ahmaud Arbery. Then it went to George Floyd in Minneapolis, and then back to Georgia with the Rayshard Brooks killing, and then the burning of the Wendy's on the day, leaving 201 days left in the year. Hey, by the way, I like your post just documenting how at 12:29 you got the app update about the propaganda. I get all that. They do that all the time. ESPN, all these news networks, when you're aware of the code, you see a lot of the times why you're getting the alert at the time you are. It's just like, and you realize it's got to be computers doing all of this stuff. If you watch the movie I was talking about, Monsters of Man with these robots, the AI of one of the robots goes wild, and it's more advanced, and they lose control of it, and it's learning so fast because it's connected to the internet. But you watch movies like that, and you start to see how they can have all these things so perfect and release their news stories on a dime at the right minute for the ritual. So appreciate that we got people like you with the eyes out there documenting. Thank you so much.
It's different. I don't know, after learning about all of this, like, especially when it comes to movies, shows alone, like Netflix, they've been going hard at it this year. Like, there's no hiding it. It'll be a minute or two maybe into a movie, and you'll see one of the either 56 or 201 will be the main ones. It doesn't matter what the show or movie is about. It'll be right there. And it's with everything. It's weird. Like, nothing's been the same since learning about this.
Indeed. Well, I really appreciate you documenting that. I need to make it there myself. I got to see it with my own eyes. Miss Mildred says we should have a big truth seeker gathering there. I think that'd be a great idea. Try to live stream and get people interested. But
I think everybody should definitely look into it. Like I said, they're not there for no reason. And I mean, it's just weird. It's everything about it is weird. Even on YouTube, there was some little minute video talking about the Georgia Guidestones. It was put out by like a bigger name, like a network. Like, it wasn't National Geographic, but like something like that. And even in that, there was so many, like, there was a couple 33s in it. Like, they were talking about how they moved Stonehenge and stuff like that. And like they said with that, like the people that tested it out, they moved it 333 feet with like a rope. It's just like, I don't know. You really opened my mind, Zach. You really opened my eyes to everything. It's like, it's out there, and I wish more people would just, I don't know, just see past everything that they've been taught and just, I don't know, just look at things how they are. Like, that's the easiest way to see things, is just how it is. Like, that's the easiest solution.
I wish people would do the exact same thing. So that's kind of the way I've always operated. All right, you have a great day. Thank you so much.
You too, Zach.
All right, take care. Bye. And by the way, here's this movie, Monsters of Man. I know IMDb happens to have a trailer that's 2 minutes and 1 second long. Go figure. Reminds me of the movie Inferno that's 2 hours and 1 minute long that came out on Bill Gates' birthday, starring Tom Hanks, about a billionaire who wants to depopulate the world with a virus. But yeah, if you guys haven't read my book, Number Games 9/11 to Coronavirus, I talk about the robotic soldiers they unveiled and the robotic, dogs and where we're clearly going. I mean, this might be the most terrifying movie I've ever seen, honestly. It is a well-done movie, and it is super fucked up. You've never seen little children blown away in gory scenes. And I understand why the director did it, to just make it cold-blooded, that these are machines, and this is what machines can do. Not even flinch at blowing away a 5-year-old, and then a mom who comes to comfort the dead body, and then the robot just blows her away into pieces, By the way, what the movie's about, though, is the CIA thinks they're unleashing these robots to kill off these drug villages in the Golden Triangle, but what's different, what they didn't expect, was there happens to be a group of American doctors there in the area, doing their volunteer work, and there also happens to be a Navy SEAL who's deserted who lives in one of the villages. So these are the unforeseen things that the CIA doesn't expect. And then when they see with the Americans and the guy that seems like he's military or something, which they find out through the face recognition in no time, they're like, oh, he's former SEAL. But, and then they're like, oh, fuck, we got a problem. Nobody was supposed to know anything about this. We're going to wipe out these people. No one would know any idea where these robots came from. Probably think they got invaded by aliens. But this is where we are, you guys. And I mean, this is what technology is already doing to us. We got cold-blooded technology just murdering the truth on YouTube and big tech, just censoring everything. Information that is vital to humanity, just getting killed by these AI robots. I can tell you about it. I've lost 21 channels. So, more than 21. I've lost them on other platforms. 21 channels is a small number when you compare the amount of videos I've lost, probably in the neighborhood of 10,000. But we're not going to stop, True Seeker. And with that said, if you do want to support the work, again, I do have ebooks. You can get them downloaded in an instant and get reading. Learn the code, learn what's going on, the historical significance. Letters and Numbers is nearly 800 pages. Number Games is nearly 400 pages. Crucial information. If you don't have money for the books, you can download them for free on my Patreon page. Just go to GematriaEffectNews, click on the Patreon link. On your cell phone, you have to scroll down to the bottom of the page and the Patreon link's there. And then just scroll back to the July 4th post on Patreon. It's free. You don't have to pledge any money or anything. It's just free. You can download both ebooks for free. So I know a lot of people are young and don't have any money. But yeah, a lot of you guys drive me nuts because you leave comments asking questions that are literally answered in the first few pages of my book. And I want you to realize what you're doing by doing that. You're asking me to answer your question and spend more time on something that I've already answered 1,000,000 times and I've literally written a book about and made it free for you to download and told you 100 times where you can download it for free. And then you still want to come and ask me to do more and ask me to do something that I've already done. And it makes me go, man, this person hasn't even read the first 3 pages of either of my books. And it just makes me think everybody's fucking pathetic, man. I know it's not everybody, but I kind of know that is the case. It's just people don't know how to do a web search. People don't know how to do the simplest shit, even people in this community. And I hear Mark Passio bitch about that all the time, too. Him and I both bitch about that. And I think that's why he quit. At the end, he was going real hard on his own audience, about how his audience was a bunch of losers and nobody wanted to make an effort to do anything real and, everybody just wants more and more information and but he shouldn't have quit. He was wrong to quit. I mean, he pretty much quit last August. He's pretty much quit for the last year. He's released 30 minutes of material in the last year, which is kind of unbelievable to me, man. I know it's a dark time, but it's like, dude, you're going to go hard for 10 years and then you're just going to quit when humanity needs you more than ever? That's why I don't quit. I mean, I feel all the same things he feels. Do you guys know Mark Passio? He started off cool, calm, collected, so well presented, just... You guys want to see how Mark Passio ended up in his last live stream? It's actually kind of funny. Hold on. Let me look this up real quick and see if I can do this real quick. Stay with me a second. Here, while I do that, I'm going to put those quotes back up for you to think about. Give me a second here. Mark Passio's final broadcast. He used to do a weekly show. Last broadcast was August 25th, 2020. Part of me wonders, though, man, it'd be sad to find out that he was just controlled too and he was told to end like this. It'd make me sad, man. Mark, if you're out there, man, it might be ironic, but again, you started with the Church of Satan and you did your last broadcast on 25/8, number of the beast 258. And if you guys don't know Mark Passio's story, he was a former member of the Satanic Church and he realized it really was evil and it's not what he thought it was going to be. And he didn't like at all what was going on, and then turned him more towards, like, I want to do something righteous and something that makes the world better because it's severely wrong. He said he went to the Church of Satan as a young person being rebellious because he knew religion was bullshit, raised Catholic, and that was his rebellious nature. But before long, he discovered that, no, the Church of Satan was truly evil. He thought it was more of just like, being about yourself and enjoying life more. That's kind of the way, what I understand from listening to him. And also being around intelligent and somewhat like-minded people. But then when he found out more about what was going on, he said, never mind. Never mind. This isn't what I thought. But, here, it's somewhere around here. Let me see. It's somewhere around here. I'm gonna let this run. I'm gonna play this for you. I don't know exactly where the spot is, but this is his last broadcast. And I just want you to understand, like, this is wrong, but it's also how I've been wrong. But I want you to understand that him and I are very similar. A lot of people always draw parallels between us because they think we're putting out the best information in the community, and we're similar in the fact that we're arrogant and sometimes we talk down to people too much. But I also think it's because, again, I honestly think he's a lot more intelligent than me. I'm pretty sure if we did an IQ test, he'd have the higher IQ. He obviously went to a better school. He learned Latin growing up. I mean, I never had anything like that. My high school definitely wasn't teaching Latin. I don't know if he went to a Catholic school or what. But, and anyway, I just want you to see, like, if you watch Mark Passio from his early days, he'd never act like this, man. And it's just like if you watch my earliest videos, I didn't act the way I do now either. But I just want you to see why some of us feel the way we do. And there's something else that's also been pointed out to me that weirds me out is I was calling into Mark Passio's show for weeks and 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 weeks, and he never took my call. And then one day he finally took my call at the end of the show, and I got in at the very end, the last few minutes, and somebody pointed out to me that the episode where he took my call was episode number 201. And, I mean, maybe Mark Passio really is controlled opposition. I don't know. His wife died in a very suspicious thing, and he seemed very sad. He cried about that on air about it, so I don't think he wanted her dead, but I don't know if Mark Passio is more involved in the cabal, like a lot more involved in the cabal. I'm not involved at all. You guys accuse me of being a shill and being connected. It's complete. You guys can assume whatever you want. It's completely false. I'm my own man. I'm not connected to anybody. And I don't know if Mark Passio's that way or if more is going on with him, but I just want you to see what became of Mark Passio at the end. And in a way, his rant's true and funny, but it's also fucked up at the same time. But listen, it might take a few minutes for him to get into it, but it's coming. He might have already started to. We'll see.
Very simple URL. We're going to be continuing uploading to this channel this coming week, adding many more videos from earlier days of What on Earth is Happening. We'll be working in reverse chronological order. That's how we're going to be kind of approaching it. And, eventually all the content on What on Earth is Happening will be YouTube free. All the so-called truth movement people should take example, okay? Get off this demonic platform. Let it rot.
Okay, I got to address that first. No, we shouldn't, because they want us off of here. They want us off. That's why I refuse to lose. I hate this fucking platform, and I want to leave every day because they censor my shit. No one gets notifications. There's really no reason to be here other than the fact that they want me off of here, and because they want me off of here, I refuse to leave. Now, people say I should put myself elsewhere. It's hard for me to upload a video to BitChute. I have to keep uploading and processing the video, and finally, after 5 times it goes through, it makes me pull my hair out, so I just quit. So BitChute sucks. It's not an option to me. Odyssey is backing up 75% of my content. I can't figure out why Odyssey doesn't back up some videos. It annoys the hell out of me because it seems to skip a lot of the best ones. It'll probably skip this live stream. But yeah, I just want to address that before he gets into his rant. He's going to say a lot of things that are true and untrue. And part of it, the first time I saw this, I got to admit, I laughed my ass off when he gets into it. But no, we should not get off this platform. And Mark did not only just get off this platform, he got off everything. I mean, he's done almost nothing in the last year. Supposedly, he's finishing up his documentary that he's been almost finished with for about 4 years now. He's been almost finished with his documentary since before I moved to this house, which was the summer of 2018. So that excuse has taken too long. You know, the world's going to be over before he finishes this documentary. But I want you to listen to the rant that's about to come. And understand, he was not like this at all when he started.
Let it rot and push people onto library, which is not censored. Okay? That's it. That's what people have to do. They have to take a proactive approach and stop caring about your view count and stop caring most of all about your bullshit monetization.
Now, that's true. I mean, you see so many people that won't speak out because they're afraid of getting demonetized, and that's pretty much happened to everyone now. You can't avoid it. With regards to library, that's what Odyssey is. The thing that's made Odyssey is library, and it's made it easy for everyone to back up their channel. But the thing is that my complaint about Odyssey is it skips videos that it backs up, and I don't know if it's a glitch in the system, but it could be something Google's doing. Could be something Google's doing to certain videos so that the library mechanism doesn't work and it doesn't get backed up. But I mean, he's not wrong that we should use other platforms and burn the evil empire, but the masses aren't going to go from the evil empire. They're not going to go over to library and BitChute. They're going to be on YouTube, and those are the people we need to reach, not just preach to the choir. So I hear the argument, and I don't.
Of taking YouTube Nazi blood money.
That's true.
Okay? YouTube are dirty, rotten, Nazi, low-life scum that are pedophile...
What they really are is Jesuit scum. Sundar Pichai 201, the Jesuit Order 201. And I've been trying to get Mark Passio for years to talk more about Gematria. I thought at one point it was going to happen, but it never ended up happening. Still hasn't happened. Maybe someday it will. But hold on.
Protectors. You are pedophile protectors, you rotten Nazi scumbag fucking trash. That's what you are. Okay? And you want to take down people's channels and censor people who blow the whistle on the worldwide pedophile rings that are the governments of the world, that are the politicians, that are the lawmakers, that are the dark occultists that run the whole damn show. And you, YouTube, you...
For people who don't know Mark Passio, he rose to the rank of priest in the Satanic Church, which is the third of 5 ranks. The 5th rank is called Mega, spelled just like how Trump did, M-A-G-A. And anyway, Mark Passio, if you don't know his story, he'd say, you know, in the Satanic Church, he saw that powerful people in the community were there, including politicians, which kind of blew him away at the time. And that's also kind of where he started to realize this network and what was going on in there was truly evil, and he didn't want to be a part of it. He wanted to expose more about it. And he said at times that, you know, they don't care that he's exposing anything because nobody gives a shit. And he says that's the reason nothing happens, because they know that they got the world around their finger and nobody gives a shit. And maybe he finally just decided that nobody's ever going to give a shit, and that's why he quit. He might still come back, but I mean, he's quit. He's been quit for a year. And even though I feel that way, kind of that nobody's ever going to give a shit, I'm still not going to quit, because I'm not going to be a goddamn quitter. There's no time for quitting right now when things are never... I mean, things are more fucked up than ever. That's what pisses me off about Mark Passio. It's like, dude, you know, like, the world needs your voice more than ever right now, man. So... And he didn't just get off YouTube, he pretty much got off everything. He launched his own website and invited his group of people over there that he says are the truth speakers, and most of them I don't really think are that full of that much truth. But I still give him his credit, even though I have my doubts about him, because he has put out a lot of good content. But hold on, he's still getting to his rant here. He's going to show you just what he thinks.
People who work for YouTube, you are dirty, rotten, lying, scumbag, Nazi, pedophile, protecting trash. And that's what you've always been, and your whore mother made you that way, boy. Your whore mother made you that way, girl. That's the truth of the matter. You have no upbringing. You weren't raised by your Nazi trash parents. Scum. And I'll tell you that right to your fucking face, because I have the balls too, and hardly anybody else does. Trash. So all the people out there in so-called freedom movement, so-called truth movement, your freedom movement and truth movement are the bottom of a trash can, is what most of you are. Because you're cowards and you don't want to lose the profit that you get from YouTube. That's what you're mostly worried about, not telling the truth, about racking up money from YouTube advertising. That's Nazi fucking blood money. Let that whole fucking platform rot into dust. Rot into the garbage trash that it is. Stop monetizing your channels.
So again, my channel's not monetized. There's no ads here. And for almost the entire time I've been here, that's been true. There's been pockets of times where I experimented with ads. Pretty much I never made any ad revenue because they would just block every video and say it wasn't eligible for ads. But the reason I tried that, it was like the 16th or 17th channel. It was my imam who really put it in my ear that I should try monetizing a channel to see if they would allow it to exist. Because her theory was like, maybe they're deleting your channel, Zach, because it doesn't generate any revenue for them. And she said, your work needs to stay up there, so why not try that out one time? So I tried it out, and you know what? That channel stayed up for a year, and it stayed up at the end of 2018, and I had, my video on Bush's death got over 1 million views. I had several videos that got over 500,000 views. I didn't get money for these videos because they were demonetized, but the channel existed, and so, I mean, it might have worked, but again, what he's saying is why I never wanted to monetize the channel, because think about what these platforms are. These are platforms that are supposedly rich because they're taking all of our data and information and selling it to advertisers to market to us. I mean, all of this in a way is kind of evil and schemy, conspiratorial. Anyway, so, and again, I didn't want people to think I was here for money, and that's why I didn't raise any money or have any ads or anything for the first 5 years that I did this. And, but what he's saying is true. I mean, so many people were not willing to touch certain topics because they didn't want it to mess with their revenue stream. And it's like, what the fuck, man? You're compromising what you should be talking about to get your measly little payout from Google each month? I mean, it's sad. I mean, the price of people is cheap.
Stop taking their fucking money, put your material up for free, and put it on library. No, how many will do that? No, because you'll see who really cares about profit. Like I said, I don't give a fuck who listens to this. It's still the truth nonetheless. It always has been and it always will be. I don't give a fuck who I offend. I don't care who shuts it the fuck off. I don't give a fuck about my view counts. I don't monetize my YouTube channel and never have. That's real hardcore shit.
Okay. I got to call him out, though, for this, because, yeah, he never monetized his channel. His channel's also never been deleted, but he'll tell you 20 different fucking ways at the beginning of every stream to donate. He'll give you all 20 ways where you can send a donation. He's got them on every single possible platform you can. And that's how everybody does too. Don't you guys like that about me? I mean, how often do I even mention to support me in any way? To me, saying going out and get the book, to me, that's get the fucking book because this is the knowledge to change the world. I mean, I hardly make anything off a book sale. The knowledge needs to be out there. This is the hard work. I want the hard work to reach the hands of people so they can open up pages and show people and say, how do you deny that? I mean, there's so many pages in this book where you can open up and say, look at that. I mean, how do you deny that?
Most of you are phony fucking posers. That's what you are.
That's true.
Worried about monetizing your channel and taking YouTube's ad money, you fucking clowns.
Here, you want me to show you who is the most fitting of the definition that he's talking about? You want to know who's number one on that list on YouTube? I got to call this person out every single time. High Impact Flicks. This is the champ of what he's talking about. This guy is the biggest fraud on YouTube right here. This is the biggest fucking fraud. This guy said he doesn't have time to teach about gematria, but he's got time to break down the words of Sean Penn and shit like this every day that does fucking nothing. And every day he's got a new one of his t-shirts on that he wants you to buy, and he's got 3 different commercials on there, and he's always switching to whatever channel still is monetized. I mean, he won't broadcast on a channel that has 500,000 subscribers where he could reach a ton of people and said he'll start a new channel. He recently started just getting censored, and now he keeps switching to new channels so he can monetize it. He doesn't want to do a video unless he's getting his ad money. I mean, this guy's the biggest fraud on here. I'm just sick of people following frauds. Anyway.
You know what you are? Hold on. You're not clowns. Once again, you're clown shoes. Here on What on Earth is Happening, we fully endorse Flopperoo brand clown shoes. Flopperoo brand clown shoes. Nothing's floppier. Nothing's clownier. And all the people out there in the so-called truth community, all the people out there in the so-called freedom community, this is not what you wear. This is what you are. That's the slogan. You don't just wear these, you are them. You're fucking clown shoes. Okay? That's what you are. There you go. And what I should just call it an entirely different thing, folks. You know what we really need to call it? We need to call it, back to the slides, please, because I have something for everyone. Okay? We really need to call the whole, truth movement and the whole so-called freedom movement. I have a new name for you guys. Okay? Here's what the name is for you guys. It's the Bobo Universe. You guys are the Bobo Universe. Here we go. I'm getting pretty good at that, ain't I? Yep, getting good at it. You know, well, I'm going to practice this slide whistle until I'm a slide whistle master. Okay? And it shouldn't take too long. Okay? Because guess what? This is the entire truth-telling movement. This is the entire so-called freedom movement. You're a bunch of bobos, okay? And only a movement like this could have you can only have a clown for a god. There's the god of this world. Yeah, it is. It really is. This is the Bobo the Clown show. That's what it is. And again, folks, the clown ain't me, because I've been telling the truth from the beginning. The clown is all the people that refuse to accept the truth and all the people who refuse to take action based on the truth. That's what it is, folks. That's what it really is and what it really always has been. Okay? And it's a shame. It's a shame that I have to almost make a mockery of it, not to just completely go nuts on it continually. Okay? Because it really is sad, actually. It's really way more sad and depressing than it is funny. But honestly, I have to try to make a clown shoe mockery of it. Because you guys have been clown shoed, and you don't even know how clown shoed you are. Okay? That's really what it comes down to. Okay? I made a verb out of it. Okay? As of last week. You're clown shoed. Okay? And the truth movement has always been clown shoed. It's never been a truth movement. It's a my truth movement. It's never been a freedom movement. It's a my freedom movement. The whole bunch of the people who...
Okay, I'm gonna turn him off there. But the one thing he's right about is that just there's not enough people that are willing to take any action. If you're not willing to take any action, ultimately at the end of the day, then all the knowledge you have isn't worth anything. Wisdom is the knowingness, the need. Wisdom is knowing when you need to act. And we haven't shown that we have any wisdom. We've been needing to act for a long time. I offered in 2015 to sell all my possessions and move to Detroit if I could get a group of community, just even 10 other people that said they would do it. I mean, it just didn't happen. You know? I'd still do it, but the window's kind of closed. And the reason I said Detroit is because I said we can take our resources, we can buy up so much of that town, we can be neighbors, we can grow food together, we can repair the town together. It's cheap. We can help other people who need an opportunity, want to participate, afford to live there. I mean, there's still things like that, but God, it's just, I've been trying to get people to do things for so long. I launched All for Truth at the end of 2016. It got sabotaged by the Flat Earth. I didn't realize that the web developers who bought it were flat earthers, and then they ended up trashing it and calling me a shill because I wasn't on board with the Flat Earth. I was like, what the hell? This community was never supposed to be about Flat Earth, and I never said it wasn't about Flat Earth, but that got destroyed by Flat Earthers. And then, Free to Find Truth's running, but every day there's, shills that want to pop up on there and mouth off, and, And again, it's like Mark Passio's saying, this movement's just mostly full of clowns. There's good people here, but it's not enough. The percentage of people that are here that are not helpful is high. They're the ones he's calling the clowns. Why aren't there more people doing more? Why didn't more people get out in the months, days straight that I was out on a corner trying to encourage more people? People did do it. Leo did it. Teenagers did it. Some young Chigozi did it. Where's everybody else out, man? We need to get out there and be a voice, create a buzz. It's not just me on the corner. All of a sudden, there's 1,000 people on 1,000 corners in, all these different states hollering about Event 201. I feel like if that happened, just more people would be like, wait a minute, I heard this going on there too. That happened in your city? It's people talking, wait a minute, you saw somebody in your city doing that too? What's funny? When I was in Seattle in June, there was a young Hispanic man, and he came up to me. It was on the stream that got sabotaged by Google, but it was caught on the live stream. He came up to me and he goes, holy shit, man. He goes, there's somebody like you back in Yakima doing this right now. And I said, dude, that is me. And he looked at me. He was like, oh, he's like, yeah, it is you. And I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, well, it's not that far away. I said, I like to come down to Seattle and do the same thing. But that's the point. He thought it was somebody else doing the same type of thing I was doing in Yakima. I didn't even realize I was the same person. And again, there should be people that are on megaphones in every city hollering about the times. But I know what you guys are all doing. You're all saying, well, man, I don't have time to do that. I gotta pay the bills. If you guys have to pay the bills month to month, I'm gonna tell you something. You're not good with money. You're not smart economically. You're staying in the rat race. You're not doing the things you need to do. If you hardly make anything, you should hardly spend anything. You should save almost everything. And you should always have a little nest egg so that if you're fucked, you can at least buy yourself some time. You should have a nest egg. And right now we're fucked. You should have your nest egg so you can say, you know what? The next month I'm not doing my job. I'm going out and doing the job humanity needs me to do. Getting out on the corner. I'm waking up my neighbors. I'm talking about what's going on. I'm being part of the voice, the larger voice that's creating a big echo in this country about what the fuck is wrong. You should be able to buy yourself a month to get out and do that because you saved up your money instead of wasting it on all the shit you wasted it on. Eating out, movies, bullshit you didn't need to buy, designer this, expensive that. The reason I was able to do what I did is because I saved my money. I was smart with my money. I made my expenses low. And I had a decent amount of money saved up when I started this work. And again, I was a school teacher. It's not like I was getting paid a lot. I was working in a group home before that. Granted, most of the money I made was from real estate for the year and a half I did that. But again, because I was modest with my expenses, I was able to pay for grad school out of my pocket, get a house. Again, from saving. And the house I bought was inexpensive. Low mortgage payment, $700 a month. And, the reason I was able to do what I did is because my expenses were low and I knew how to save and I had a little bit saved up and I had a weed business too. I made money off the weed business. It wasn't super booming when I first started this, but it grew really fast and then it was booming and then it got destroyed November 15th, 2014. I'm sure it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't doing this, but yeah, you guys, you got to take risks in life. You got to be smart. You got to have money saved. You can't be on the rat race treadmill trying to keep up with all your bills. Just each month spending what you made. Oh, I have this much. I can spend all this much because it's how much I made. That's what Americans do. It's retarded. You just spend all the money you made on what? To me, if you realize if you want to get out of the rat race, you're only going to do it by building up resources. If we're going to change the rat race, we're going to need resources. Like if enough people pledged $1 a month, We'd be able to have GematriaEffectNews and probably buy up some real estate and have people to work there and allow other people to come there and be the good people to essentially watch that community and make sure you don't have plants and agents showing up there and people trying to sabotage it. I mean, some people have to be kept out, you know. The man Richard, who I've given 10 chances in this community, you know, and granted, I had him on TFR the other week just briefly, and I shouldn't have done it. He called me before the show and begged for me to be on because he wanted to promote his T-shirts and business cards again. And I said, Rich, I don't know why you want to keep doing this, man. I mean, how many times have you gone on the TFR show or one of my live streams and promoted this, and then you get frustrated that not enough people do it? I said, I mean, we can do it again. But I said, I can't sell T-shirts. Hardly anyone buys my book. I mean, I not to put you down, but I think less people are going to be less likely to invest in what you're doing if they won't even invest in me, and I'm the main thing they watch. None of that seems to register in his brain. He's like, well, let's just do... And then so I let him go on there again, and he didn't like the way I introduced it, like, well, here we go again with Rich. And the reason I have to do that is because there's people in this community who know who Richard is. Richard's a guy who single-handedly tried to destroy Free to Find Truth, because there was a woman named Kathy who I allowed to be the moderator there, and she texted me and she said, do you think I should allow Rich into the community? And I said to her, you know, probably not, because he's kind of unstable and you never know what he's going to do. And then she made an executive decision and allowed him in anyway. And then what Rich did is Rich went out and recruited all the trolls that harassed me all the time and let them on there. And then they started screwing with the website. And I was like, wow, so we're trying to launch this and make it successful. And then Rich right away is on here trying to ruin it. I mean, and the other thing I got to call out about Richard, like the reason Richard has time to do this work is because he lives on the government teat. He's on disability, so the government pays all of his bills. He's a poor guy that lives on disability like a lot of Americans. And why is he on disability? Because he's a career drunk and alcoholic. Just like my brother, my dad's brother, my uncle Barry is an alcoholic who destroyed his body from alcoholism at an early age and has been on the government's teat ever since on welfare, getting his bills paid each month. Rich is the same type of person. And again, you guys, I mean, is that the kind of person that see, what's hard for me is it's like, okay, he shows that he has passion for the work and wants to share it, but at the same time, I know he's like this unstable guy that, you know, tries to sabotage the movement and trolls at time. Like yesterday, he's spamming all this trash yesterday on Free to Find Truth. You know, he's done all this before. But, I mean, at the same time, he's like one of the only people that seems to want to do anything to help out with the movement. I was like, can this guy help out the movement? Not to mention he's a welfare queen. And, again, I'm not going to judge all people that are on welfare. Some people are on disability that probably should be on there, but there's a lot of fat slobs. There's a lot of alcoholics. And should the government be paying these people's bills because they destroyed their own bodies and lives? Like, Richard Quinn wants to burn down the government, but he lives on the government's teat. Does that make any sense? So, again, I'm just going to call him out fully for what he is. You want to say that I'm a shill? You're just a drunk fucking loser who I've given 10 chances to that keeps trying to sabotage shit. You're never going to be helpful to the movement because you're just a jealous little bitch that talks shit about everybody and puts down anyone who got any attention that isn't you. And it's my fault for giving this guy 10 chances, but that's who I am too. That's why I don't know if at the end of the day I can lead a movement, because I have too much sympathy for people. I'll give people a million chances after they burn me on the second, third, fourth, fifth, and every single one up to a million. I'll still give them another chance. I don't know why I'm that way, but I am. And, you know, I mean, Rich is somebody I knew I needed to cut ties with probably the first time I talked to him. I mean, he just wasn't going to be the guy, you know? To be perfectly frank, he's not intelligent enough either. I mean, he calls in on a live stream and talks about how fuck his own son, fuck my son, you know. He said he gave up on his son because his son said some shit to him. It's like, dude, you're his dad. I mean, who are you going to lead? You can't even lead your own child. You gave up on your own child, you know. This is why Mark Passio quit. He just looked out and said, who's my audience? I know I have good people in my audience. There's a lot of people that are way better than Richard Quinn, but at the end of the day, Richard Quinn's also, amazing to say, one of the people that's worked the hardest at spreading the word. What does that say? It's because he's one of the only people that doesn't have a job. Most of you are more concerned about your job and your livelihood. None of this would have happened if I was that way. I quit a great job as a early 20s, realizing it was criminal. You know, it paid very well. Everyone was so proud of me, how much money I had, how much I was making, how much was in the bank. You know, everyone thought I was nuts when I quit. Why would you quit that, Zach? Man, it's good. Making more money than all of us combined. That's how my friends felt, my peers. I made more money than all of my friends combined, and we're all smart, out of college. But I didn't feel good about what I was doing. So I quit, and I worked at a group home for $10 an hour, and people lost respect for me. People started treating me like I was kind of dumb, like, wow, that was dumb. Who'd do that? I had a family member that put out a rumor that I must be a child molester. It must have been a way for me to sneak in and I guess do something to vulnerable kids. I mean, what a fucking thought, man. Fuck you. Because I quit a criminal job that paid well to work in a group home where children need good adults. Your thought is that I must be child molester. I mean, fuck you, man. Family. I mean, just that's what America is, though. It's like, no. I mean, I never had a thought like that in my head. Wanted to go there and do something good for some children who never had anything good in their life. And I did do that. So, it's just like my adult life minus my criminal years in real estate. I've always worked to do good things. Group home, teen homeless shelter, poor public school in Seattle. People couldn't believe the school I wanted to work at in Seattle. I wanted to work right where the poorest people were, where the people needed the best teacher, the most help. That's who I wanted to serve. And, and then all these years doing this, putting out knowledge, a thankless job for the most part. I wish the channel was still here from the first year. It's like all I got was shit on by the comments every day. I didn't care. I knew I was right. But, yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to advocate for the truth and put out the truth and try to motivate people and just watch the world get worse and not enough people lift a finger and just listen to people's bullshit excuses and people turn on you. And it's just like, I mean, I think that's why Mark Passio quit. And he might come back, but yeah, I'm just telling you, everything he's expressing I get and I feel largely the same way. And, but like I said, I'm not going to quit because then my legacy is I quit when the world definitely didn't need quitters. And that's no legacy. So, and one other thing I want to say, third grade, I got to go back to third grade. One of those clear moments you have that you remember. We had a spelling bee in third grade, and one of the words was integrity. And I learned how to spell it, but I didn't know what the word meant. And I asked the teacher, I said, what does integrity mean? And the teacher thought her name was Mrs. Kretz. She had a darker, turning grayish hair with curls. She was much better than my second grade teacher. My second grade teacher was Mrs. Hanson. She was the witch. But Mrs. Kretz, she thought for a minute, and then she said, integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. And then so you think about that and you're like, okay, so that means doing the right thing, but not getting any credit for it, not getting any recognition, but doing it because it's right. Because so often when nobody's looking and there's two choices, it might be easier to do the wrong thing. It might be more beneficial to you to do the wrong thing. You find a wallet full of money somewhere. You're all by yourself. What's the right thing to do? Look and see whose wallet is and give it back to him. What's the wrong thing to do? Take the money, throw the wallet in the garbage can, or take the money. How many people do things halfway? Take the money and then say you found the wallet, give it back to him and say, sorry, man, there wasn't any money in there when I found it. I mean, that's how people are. And so, integrity is something most people don't have. And I'll tell you what, something I've always had. And that doesn't mean that I'm totally right and righteous. I mean, the things I say that hurt people's feelings, it's probably not right, but I say it for a reason. I say I do everything I do for a reason and a purpose, and it's to make people think. And I do think the sides I take a position on, I'm on the right side of. I think I'm on the right side when I say Jesus is complete bullshit and everyone deluding themselves with that is doing nothing but deluding themselves. I know that really hurts people and it makes them offend and leave. And again, to me, that's just a sign that I'm right, that it offends them and they leave. They can't handle the truth. And at the end of the day, they care more about their false belief that they can't prove, which is not truth-based, than the actual truth movement where we're laying down the truth in righteous ways every single day. So people's belief in their delusion is more important to them than the truth, and that's why ultimately those same people who leave and pull their dollar, they're the same people that probably haven't done anything besides give $1. And I mean, I'm glad I gave $1, but at the end of the day, that's not enough either. If you're donating $1, you should still be doing more. Sharing this work actively, getting out on your corner with a megaphone. I mean, there's never been a better time to speak out and use your voice, and hardly anyone's done it. So think we'll leave it there for now, True Seeker. Yeah, I'm working super hard right now, even though hardly anyone's watching because no one's getting a notification. But it's time to work hard right now. They're going hard. I'm going harder. So they're bringing terrorism, COVID, flu season's coming. They're going to go super hard, man. Shit's going to get fast. I'm not going to stand by and be the blame for, more 18-year-olds being sent off on the next big war based on a lie, which we know it's coming. It's going to get a lot worse. The wars are going to be a lot worse. Everything's going to be a lot worse if we don't do anything. You can keep thinking that your slave job's all you need to worry about. You'll realize you were part of the problem. You got to do more than your slave job. You got to stand up for your civic responsibilities. It's overthrowing tyranny. So anyway, we'll leave it there, True Seeker. And